don't know if you're aware of this or not. And if you are, good. If you're not, that's what we're here for. There's more football on tonight.
I was going to say, I thought you were going to say, don't be a Minnesota fan.
No, but dude, it kind of sucks to be a Minnesota fan this offseason, doesn't it?
Yeah, if you are, our condolences. I mean, your season's already over, it would seem, possibly.
Let's go with, it doesn't look great. Here's fun. Yesterday evening, and here's where I'm going to go source, trust me, bro. But yesterday evening, Zoe, I got a text message from a friend of mine / colleague, a media member down in the lovely city of New Orleans, Louisiana, the city of my birth. And this message that I got last night after it was announced that J.J. McCarthy will be missing the 2024 NFL season with a torn meniscus that will require surgery that puts him out through the conclusion of said 2024 season. I got a text message after I got off of the air yesterday, as I didn't just host 4 hours here, but also hosted 4 hours of You Better You Bet on the BetQL network, which I'll be doing again today, by the way. If you need more Rob Brown in your life, 3 to 7. I got a text message yesterday evening as I sat down in front of the television playing some games with the boys. I got the bring that I had a new text message, and I looked at it, and it was a dear friend of mine from down in Louisiana that covers the New Orleans Saints for a living. And he said, "Hey, have you heard the fun news?" And I said, "No." And he goes, "I'm about to give you something to talk about tomorrow." And I said, "Lovely. What do you got?" And they said, this is what's the word? Not off the record. Oh, they spoke on a condition of anonymity, which I don't like doing. Trust me, bro.
This is funny because it showed up all over the internet, including the thing that I sent you, which is the same thing yesterday, and you just didn't look at it.
I mean, maybe I didn't. I'm not gonna lie. After 8 hours of radio yesterday, your boy was done.
It's dealing with the same subject matter.
Oh, it is. Look at that.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, I thought I was onto something here.
Sorry, dude.
It's okay. It does mean I am well connected, though, because I knew this.
Well,
I should.
Your source is corroborated. So I mean, there you go.
According to sources down in lovely New Orleans, Louisiana. You know what? Screw it. Why not? Apparently, there was a discussion going on. You know what? I'm not gonna say that. And here's why I'm not gonna say it. I'm not gonna say it because I just went and scanned the account, and this tweet came out before I got the text from my buddy that covers the Saints, and he may have got because the source of the account comes from someone who has very few followers on Twitter and has the word parody in their bio. So I'm not gonna get got. I'm not gonna get got.
So I sent it to you thinking it was funny, and then you started talking about it, and I started thinking, oh, maybe it was real.
Yeah. So again, and this is why right here.
And it also ties into the area because of who would end up being the starter. So, I mean, you know.
This is why right here, and I include myself in this, okay? I'm not bigger than the game. I play the game. I'm not bigger than it. This is why I say when you hear a story that is followed up with, trust me, bro, #sources. Take it with great skepticism. Take it with great skepticism. I got a text last night from somebody that I do trust in the game as a source. And they said the same thing. And now that I have gone to, not to the source of the source, But now that we have found what is likely has generated this rumor, and I've made myself look like a fool to open the show, this is why I say don't trust me, bro, as a source. When someone says, I've spoken to someone within the organization, unless they have a great deal of reputable confirmed information in the past, that's not good enough for me. And I about fell for it right there. There was a tweet going around that said that the Vikings, I'll tell you what the rumor was. Okay, I've already made myself look like an ass to start the show. I might as well just roll with it at this point. There was a rumor going around yesterday, and I did hear said rumor from someone in New Orleans that covers the team, my team, that I know personally and professionally. And I was told last night that the Vikings were making phone calls to try to find a quarterback, and they had asked about Derek Carr's availability. And the rumor was that Spencer Rattler had done enough that the Saints were interested in having the conversation, potentially picking up a multitude of first-round picks in return for Derek Carr. And I thought, okay. I mean, that seems like a big deal.
Did you want to believe it?
No, not necessarily, because as I've had the conversation before.
You seem pretty excited about it.
I'm excited because, and there is some element of ego to this. I'm excited about this because if Spencer Rattler turns into an efficient starting quarterback, Rob Brown looks like a genius. Because I'm going to toot my own horn publicly. I don't toot my own horn publicly. I keep my own horn tooting private, like a civilized person. Okay, but I will toot my own horn in public. That's not really a toot, though, is it?
It's only a horn I have.
Yeah, it's not a toot. I got a.
It's still a horn.
I got a horn.
That's not the horn you want to use.
Which is appropriate for Rob tooting his own. So if Spencer Rattler ends up looking like a dude at the NFL, Rob Brown looks like a genius because allow me to toot my own horn. Rob Brown was the first person that said Spencer Rattler will be the steal of this draft. Long term, will be the steal of the draft. And before anybody goes, you homer, I would like you all to keep in mind, I said this, let's say weeks, maybe months, but definitely weeks before the draft. I said it weeks before the draft, before he happened to become a New Orleans Saints. Yeah, I got very excited that my team made the move to get him because I do think he could end up being the steal of the draft. But I said it, and I know I said it first because RG3 got all the coverage for saying it, and I said it about a week and a half before he did. Now, that's not me going, oh, look at me, I'm a big smart boy who knows ball. I am, and I do, but that's not why I'm saying it.
Yeah, because you would never say that.
Yes! Big smart boy who knows ball. Called that shot before he ended up being hyped up by a lot of other draft scouts or whatever you want to call them. I am comfortable saying I'll stand by that. So there was a little bit of me that's like, that's interesting, because you know what it would have felt like? It would have felt as if that was a white flag on where the Saints are right now, right? That would have been okay, we know we're not competitive. And the thing is, and this is kind of what gave me pause. The thing about this is the way this team is talking, they are not talking like a team who's waving the white flag right now. They are talking right now like a team that genuinely believes they can compete. Cam Jordan did an interview last night where he's like, look, what we've been doing ain't enough, and we've got to do better. We're going to do better. And it didn't feel like, preseason player speak. It didn't feel like every player sounds leading up to the preseason when every team is built of players that believe that they've got 17-0 in them. It felt to me like a frustrated, grizzled young veteran that believed, he's grizzled old veteran, that believed that there was another gear to this team. So I went through and I looked at that last night, and I got a text, like I said, shortly after that tweet went out, now that I recognize it, because as I was telling Lonzo a second ago, no, I didn't see that he sent me that notation, and I didn't see he sent me that notation because when I got done at 7 p.m. last night, your boy was cooked. I was done. I'm like, nah, I'm out. I'm going to watch some baseball and call it a night. And that's what I did. So I was not locked in on social media at all. Now that I've put the timeline together, I think my dude down there may have just got. And since I haven't told you who it is, and I'm not going to now, I would tell you, not a trusted source for me anymore.
Here's the thing. This is why you should pay attention to my stuff when I send you things. Because, I mean, you know, you could have avoided all this if you just would have, acknowledged me.
I mean, again, I was not on the Twitters last night.
Which is weird for you. I mean, that is definitely odd for you. So, I mean, because I know if there's one place where I can usually get your attention, it's there. So
it's not unfair. That's not unfair. 8 hours of live radio yesterday. Your boy was cooked. I was good. I was done at that point. 8 hours with just a slight break in the middle. I was done. So anyway, which is again why I've said time and time again, if somebody hits you with sources say or source, trust me, bro, be skeptical, dive in, learn more. Don't just take it. Now, if it's somebody that has a long history of being right with their sources, you can take it with a little less salt. But if somebody comes at you that doesn't have a long history of being correct and they don't really have a lot to stand on and they hit you with, trust me, bro, take a brief chill pill, relax a little bit, because there's a lot of people out there that say a lot of dumb and or wrong things, either A, to get attention as it makes careers for some people, or B, because they think it's funny on the internet.
But here's the thing about this story is it has a ring of possibly being true. And that's why it's easy to get got by it, because you can very easily see, I mean, Minnesota calling around trying to get somebody. And Spencer Rattler has looked really good in preseason so far and in practice. So that's why it's not out of the realm of possibility. It's not like you go right away, man, that ain't real.
It only makes sense, like I said, it only makes sense if the Saints were waving the red flag. If they, well, I guess the white flag, whatever flag they're waving. If they were waving a flag, this would be a spot.
The French flag, we'll go with that.
You leave the French alone. We don't win the Revolutionary War without the French. I'm tired of defending the French. People, learn your damn American history. If they don't show up at the Battle of Yorktown and they don't lock down the Bay, we lose that battle. We lose that war. All right? We're only speaking English because of the... Okay, that doesn't make sense. But you get the point. No France, no USA. Stop banging the French. All right? Stop. Okay. All right. Yeah, just play it. I'll wait. It's earned. Yep, that one was justified. That one was bad. I will acknowledge and agree that one was bad. Stop making fun of the French. All right. There's no US without the French. Anyway, point here is that would make sense if the Saints were waving the white flag, if this was a rebuilding year, if the Saints had sold everybody off during the offseason, if they were stockpiling draft picks, if they had sent all of their vets on, if they had refused to enter negotiations with Alvin Kamara, all these things would make a lot of sense. But they haven't done that because for whatever insane reason, Mickey Loomis thinks Dennis Allen's the guy that's going to get us there. By the way, yesterday we were on the show, on the other show I did yesterday. We were taking our bets, Zoe, on first NFL coach to be hired or to be fired. You want to guess who mine was? Take a stab at it.
I'm going to go with I believe it's the Saints in New Orleans.
Dennis Allen is absolutely correct. That dude's not making it out of this year. He's not. I don't know who's going to be the guy next year. I don't know if there is a guy next year. If the Saints were waving the white flag, it would make a lot more sense. Here's why, and this is interesting to me. Here is why this could be interesting for Spencer Rattler. Because if the Saints do indeed decide at week 10, 11, 12, 13 to pull the plug on Dennis Allen and to go ahead and move on, and they bring in an interim coach, interim coaches do what? They try to earn that job, right? That job or another job. They try to use that job to either keep that job or to prove to some of the franchise that they should get that job. And in order to do that, you got to start changing stuff. You got to change stuff away from the stuff that ain't worked yet. One of those things is quarterback. Could Spencer Rattler end up getting some PT later on the season because the Saints can Dennis Allen move on to an interim coach, and that coach goes, got to try something. Why not try this guy? We'll see. We'll see. But don't get got. Stay careful out there, kids. Stay careful out there. Skepticism is a good thing. Not automatically believing the claims of someone is a good thing. Even if it does make you look like a dumb idiot on your own radio show for 16 minutes on a Thursday morning. Hey, it's Thursday. You know what that means? Got a busy show. When we get to 8:40, Rashad Beard of the Panther Nation podcast will come by to talk Carolina Panther football. Then at 9 o'clock, Mario Herron, a.k.a. Hating-Ass Mario, joins us from the BetQL Network to preview the NFC and AFC Easts. And then at 9:20, it's Thursday, and you know what that means. Fight Club! With the great Malonzo, we take a look at all things boxing, wrestling, and MMA. And there's a lot going on in the world of combat sports. That's all coming up later on this morning. I am Rob Brown, the great Malonzo on the ones and twos. I'll try to sound like a competent sports radio host when we come back on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
I mean, should I not have stopped you?
No.
I mean,
I didn't, like I said, I didn't check the tweet until starting. I'm like, hey, let me read this.
Before we begin, so you guys are out there at every practice. You guys watch us all the time, but there's a special teams period where I catch the footballs and I like to observe you guys. And you guys really need to up your sneaker game. It's absolutely atrocious. I got some Vomeros. Those are fire. And Grant wears Vans every single day. New Balances. They look like Vans. Yeah, those are Vans. It's okay. But you wear those every day, so I need to switch those up. But I observe all your guys' shoes, and I'm disappointed.
Some of us don't make George Kittle money, George Kittle.
Please. It's year 8, guys. Let's figure this out together. Okay, now it's all you guys.
Available through the Fresh Start program that can drastically reduce the amount you will owe if you qualify. Even if you haven't filed your taxes in years or are facing wage garnishment, liens, levies, or other audits, we can help. We've earned over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. Get your tax nightmares today. Savings you may qualify for, visit us online at TRA.com or call us at 800-511-0379. 800-511-0379. Again, that's
Morning, Mike. What's up, big dog? Welcome in, brother.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today?
Gotta change my oil.
How about Valvoline Restore and Protect? It restores and protects your engine to run like new.
It restores your engine to like factory clean?
And protects.
So Valvoline Restore and Protect restores and protects.
Now you can get 5 quarts with an STP extended life oil filter for $37.99. Restrictions apply.
Some people just know the best rate for you is a rate based on you with Allstate. Not a rate based on tariff and keeps. And makes the car behind them. Oh no, they're about to. Save with DriveWise and the Allstate app and only pay a rate based on you. Not available in every state, subject to terms and conditions. Rating factors and savings vary. In some states, your rate could increase with high risk driving. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
Running a small business is no small task. At Home Trust Bank, we work hard to prepare businesses for whatever tomorrow may bring. Your dreams are our business, and we have local experts who can help you plan for a successful future. Dependable guidance you need and service you'll appreciate. At Home Trust Bank, we take your small business banking personally. Visit your local Home Trust branch or anytime at htv.com. Member FDIC.
Bridge Nonprofit invites you to the Disability Resource Expo on August 25th at the Kroc Center. This free event connects attendees with providers, state disability agencies, valuable resources, and information. Presented by Odyssey and the South Carolina Developmental Disabilities Council.
What's that sound? That's the sound of Downy Unstoppable scent beads going into your washing machine and giving your clothes freshness that lasts all day long. There it is again. It's like music to your ears, almost more like music to your nose. That freshness is irresistible. Let's get a Downy lunch. And now a sniff solo. Nice. With Downy Unstoppable, you just toss, wash, wow, for all day freshness.
Meet Cheryl. Hey, she's on vacation and lost her money. Unfortunately, so is her Chase debit card.
It's gotta be somewhere.
Maybe she lost it at something. He searched it at carpets. Or maybe she lost it at Pilates. But she's not worried. With the Chase mobile app, she can lock her phone till it turns up. Tools that help protect. One bank that puts you in control. Visit chase.com/check. Chase, make more of what's yours.
Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Message and data rates may apply. JP Morgan Chase Bank and a member FDIC.
Sponsored by ChumbaCasino.com. With over 100 online casino-style games, Chumba Casino is your go-to destination for non-stop entertainment. Play for fun and play for free at ChumbaCasino.com. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void or prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
It's BetMGM tonight.
2 years ago, he pretty much individually won me my fantasy baseball league. This was 2 years ago because last year's team was not good. Yeah, because I couldn't do the draft. Right? Cousins go do the draft. We got to get studied. And that's you and I were doing the show. It was just you and me in here. I told you, like, when you're up, take off, I'll talk. I'll be fine. I could do it. I would have helped you out. I just would have wanted a percentage of the winnings. That's all. BetMGM tonight.
Live sports betting.
Rise and shine, sports fans. Grab your coffee and get a jolt of sports on the Rob Brown.
Good morning. I mean, you could have just left it.
There was space for it. It just worked. I mean,
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. The Rob Brown Show on your radio. It's the fan upstate Rob and the great one Lonzo with you. A lot going on this morning. Lots to talk about. The Atlanta Braves get a win last night, 13-2. Don't need the extra innings. Yesterday evening, Money Mike Michael Harris II made his return from the injured list and took exactly and precisely one at-bat to make his impact known, a grand slam from Money Mike in his first AB back. That was kind of the fuse being lit for the Atlanta Braves, who went on to rout the San Francisco Giants. That is now 3 wins in a row, all 3 on the road. They have now won the 4-game series against San Francisco and sets them up to attempt the 4-game series sweep against the Giants. Coming up today, Grant Holmes got the start last night, ended up having himself a pretty good day. Pretty good day for a guy that a lot of Braves fans, myself included, were not excited about seeing in a spot where a series victory was on the line. Grant Holmes went 7 innings, surrendered 8 hits, but only 2 runs, K'd 6 in a winning effort. It was his first decision on the year, and the decision did go in his favor, picked up the W with his effort. The Braves were also able to chase Robbie Ray, a very good pitcher, out of the game. Did not complete the first inning. Got through just 2 outs. Did surrender only 1 hit. But that hit was Money Mike, who went dinger against them. 5 earned runs on 1 hit, 3 walks, and a pair of strikeouts in 0.2 innings of work for Robbie Ray, who not too long ago was a guy that was being considered as like a potential Cy Young candidate. Instead, he drops to 2-2 with a real bad effort. Got tagged with the loss despite not making it. Well, I guess because he didn't make it out of the first inning last night. Jorge Soler was in the game. No hits, 2 at-bats before he was replaced by Kalenic, who had 1 hit in 3 at-bats. Austin Riley had a knock. Matt Olson, 2 for 4 on the night, including a home run. Money Mike was 1 of 5, but that one was a big one, the grand slam that kind of got everybody going last night in the top of the first. Look, good. I'm good. Glad to see it. You got one of those big names back. That is what the Bravos have been saying for a while, right? The Bravos have been saying for a while now. Brian Snitker said after the, third consecutive loss to the Brewers earlier this week, Brian Snitker said, hey, look, I think we're okay. I think we're fine. Look at the injuries we've been going through. That's what the Braves fans who have been telling me to calm down with the panic button have been telling me for a couple weeks. Oh, Rob Brown, you big dumb idiot. We're banged up. We're hurt. We got a lot of guys that have been on and off the injured list so far this year. And I agree, and that is true. That is true. You know the big names. You know the Ronnie Acuna Jr. out for the season. Spencer Strider out for the season. You know that guys like Sean Murphy, who also had a knock last night. Basically, everybody on the team that's not Marcell Ozuna and Matt Olson has either spent time on the injured list or is someone who is replacing someone who is on the injured list. Is not a guy that you would consider necessarily a top-notch quality starter, is a fill-in-the-blank guy. Whit Merrifield, Laureano, etc. These are all guys that have stepped in to replace players that are injured and out. And that's accurate. You got Money Mike back last night. Immediate impact from Michael Harris II. The Bravos get the 13-2 win. I'm not quite ready, however. I'm not quite ready to sit here and pretend because the Braves have run off 3 wins in a row, all against the Giants. I'm not quite ready to say that anything is different, right? This is a Giants team and it is because of the Braves winning 3 in a row, but this is a Giants team that is below 500. They are 61-62 right now. This is a Giants team that is 11 games back of the Dodgers. They are 9.5 games back of the Padres and the Diamondbacks. Now, fortunately for the Bravos, the Diamondbacks and the fortunately for the Giants, it is because the Diamondbacks and the Padres are both white hot right now. Both of those teams are 9-1 through their last 10 contests. Those teams are going to come back to the middle at some point. I don't think they can stay this hot. They cannot stay this hot for 40 more games. The bad news for Atlanta is they are 5 games behind those teams. The good news for Atlanta, back into a wild card spot at 64-56. Good news for Atlanta, now 2 games up on the New York Mets. Bad news for Atlanta, Philadelphia last night looked like maybe Stella got a groove back. Philly last night got the Schwarbaum granny to go get a dub. They ended up getting out of a bit of a slump, did the Phillies, with a win over the Marlins last night. Bad news for Atlanta. They're up against the Nationals in a series next. The bad Nationals. So, I'm very meh right now. Do I feel better after the 3rd win in a row over a Giants team that just 2 weeks ago I was on a national radio show saying, oh, look out for this team. Look out for this Giants team. They may not be done. No, because I might have been wrong. They're 5-5 in their last 10. They're now sub 500 at 61-62. I still think it's a good San Francisco team. But let's not pretend this is 3 straight over the Phillies. Let's not pretend this is 3 straight over the Brewers. Let's not pretend this is 3 straight over the Dodgers, Diamondbacks, or Padres. It's 3 straight against a decent Giants team. So where my question mark is, where do the Braves go from here? Can you show me some level of consistency? You got one more Today, 3:45, the Bravos against the Giants one more time. You got Max Fried on the bump today. That's an ace. That's a frontline guy. That's a playoff caliber pitcher. He's up against Logan Webb, who is also that. It's one-on-one. It's best on best. If the Braves win today and get a 4-game sweep, that includes, by the way, gutting out a pair of extra inning wins in games 1 and 2 of this series before disheartening the Giants by ruining them last night. We had a position pitcher last night. If the Braves do it again today against the Giants, and for the record, I don't think that they are going to. I don't think that they are going to. All right, and that's not a shot. Respectfully, that's not a shot. That's just how baseball works out. This year in Major League Baseball, in 3 and 4 game series, if a team enters the final game of a series with a sweep on the table as a possibility, they're losing at almost a 68% clip right now. So that means that if that trend holds up, about a 2/3% chance the Braves lose today. But it's baseball. You got Max Fried out there. We'll see. If the Braves win this game, if they reel off 4 in a row, and those 4 all come against a team that before this series was above 500, before this series was a team that was being looked at as a potential wild card spot. I don't know if they are now, but was being looked at as a potential wild card spot. Then I think I'll breathe a brief sigh of relief. Got a lot of baseball left. 40 plus games left to be played in the regular season. A month and a half left until we start getting to the postseason. So I'm not quite there yet. But I'm not unhappy with what the last 3 games have provided. What's the difference? Here's the difference. Since the All-Star break, let's play a little pop quiz here, kids. I feel like you know the answer already. Hey, since the All-Star break, which Major League Baseball team leads Major League Baseball in home runs? Anybody got a guess? Anybody? Write your answers down. Okay, pencils down. Which Major League Baseball team leads the league in home runs since the All-Star break? The Atlanta Braves. The Atlanta Braves. They've got 50 of them. Nobody else has more than 48 coming out of yesterday's games. 50 dingers since the All-Star break. And shockingly, look at that. The Braves, despite the fact that since the break, dropped 2 of 4 against the Miami Marlins. Since the All-Star break, got swept by the Milwaukee Brewers. Since the break, dropped 2 of 3 against the Rockies. They just took 3 out of the 3 against the Giants. They got a chance to sweep them today. If they do it, maybe we can look and go, yeah, we got something working here. We got something going here. If they don't, I'll say no panic button for the rest of this week. But you got a 3-game set against the Angels. You got to sweep that. And then on August 20th, 21st, 22nd, a 3-game set against the Phillies. You have to take 2 out of the 3 there, or I will say the season is cooked. Rob Brown, the great Malonzo, you back after this on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate.
It's like a friend. I'll take you there. It's like a dream to me.
Yeah, he's lost it. He's singing Madonna. I mean, what can you do?
Bill's back. Better than ever. Tron, what's up, big dog? Good to have you.
Bill!
I want to tell you, bud.
So nasty. I sent you two things on Twitter. One, guy has 288,000 followers, so I think that might be okay.
Sammy got wrecked.
But the other one, look at the list.
Okay, we can talk about it. I like it.
Especially, well, he is Xing because of that, but it seemed like more of a topic.
Yeah.
Especially where he's ranked. Even with all my joking, no way he should be down there. But, I mean, you may disagree.
This is the difference between power rankings and all-time rankings, right? This is why every week when we do our power rankings, I point out power rankings are today. Dan Lanning is coming off of a season where he lost 2 games, both to the guy who's ranked 1 spot above him. And he is ranked 1 spot below the guy that is responsible for back-to-back titles 2 years ago and probably should have gone last year.
Okay.
Salonzo sent me a bit of show prep during the break there, and I'm down to talk about it. Mainly because of a couple of names on the list. Matt Chadwick, who is a college football analyst for Pro Football Focus and is the host of Pro Football Focus's College Football Show, put out his list of the top 10 coaches in college football. And it's an interesting list. Now, I'm going to keep it a buck with you. Great one. Well, really audience, because Lonzo knows this. We don't do a lot of list on this show. And we don't do a lot of list on this show because to me, coming up with a list is what you do when you don't have other stuff to talk about, right? And because there's no off season on the Rob Brown Show, there's always something to talk about. Like in a minute, when we talk about the fact that Corey Austin Dillon, that Stone Cold Austin Dillon, Austin 316 says, I just wrecked your ass. Turns out that win that got him a playoff berth, yeah, they took that playoff berth away. And we're going to talk about that coming up in a little while. But I like this list. This list is interesting. Let's get to it. Not a lot of lists on the show because we got plenty to talk about around the calendar. But screw it. We're a week away from college football. We've done all the talking.
All right, I get it, man. I won't send you any more of this.
No.
Okay, I mean that's
I just said I like the list.
We don't normally do this, but I'm going to do this just to humor Lonzo, or more so
stop,
you can make fun of me.
Stop.
That's fine.
How am I making? No, I'm not going to let you make yourself look like the bad guy. I like the list.
No, I'm not.
The victim.
Yeah.
I'm the bad guy.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
I like the list, so let's get to the list. Max Chadwick has put out his list of the top 10 head coaches in college football. Here's the list he put together. Number 10, from Ohio State University, Ryan Day. Number 9, from Ole Miss, Lane Kiffin. Number 8, from Louisiana State University, Brian Kelly. Number 7, Texas, Steve Sarkisian. Number 6, Florida State University's Mike Norvell. Number 5, the Utah Utes, Your Honors, Kyle Whittingham, number 4. Clemson's Dabo Swinney. Ahead of Dabo, he's got at number 3, Oregon's Dan Lanning. Number 2, Alabama's Kalen DeBoer. And the number 1 head coach in college football, according to Matt Chadwick and Pro Football Focus, Georgia's Kirby Smart.
All right. So number 1, I get.
Sure.
Everything else is I don't get. So you talk about, so is this a power ranking list right now? Even so, it wouldn't make sense. Is this an overall thing? Still doesn't make sense.
I'm going to go with this is a power ranking list. This is what coaches are on top of the game today as we prepare to enter the 2024 season.
Wow. And obviously, I mean, even if I wasn't an Ohio State fan, I still would have a problem with this because who's the number 2 ranked team right now in the preseason polls? That would be Ohio State. Who's been in the running or in the playoff? How many times has he been in the playoff? At least once. How many times has Lane Kiffin been in there?
Here's my thing.
When he was with Alabama, maybe?
Which of those 2 coaches has a fan base arguing for them to get fired if they lose 1 game this year?
We're not talking about fan bases. We're talking about the coach, and we're talking about the team that the coaches.
I don't disagree, but for me,
so you're saying this is a fan base poll?
No. What I'm saying is, if I have as an analyst am ranking coaches, and one of those coaches has a fan base calling for his head, and he does, you have said multiple times, if he loses to the Big Blue U this year, that he should lose his job. If a head coach has a fan base that is looking to get him bleep canned in the result of a rivalry game, I don't know that I can say that guy's up there. If you were going to tell me you're one of the best 10 coaches in college football, I can't have your fan base actively saying you might not make it through the end of this season, and that's Ryan Day right now.
All right, you confuse me because, again, we're talking about coaching and talking about the team. Why are you still talking about a fan base when you just said the fan base is not part of this thing?
All right. So let me try to break it down a different way. If I have a coach who in any way, shape, or form has a fan base that may be making it difficult for him to iron fist the program, to really have that program by the collar, and yours does right now. I look at everybody else. Lane Kiffin, a.k.a. Joey Freshwater.
What's he ever done?
Put together arguably the best portal class assembled in the history of the portal right now.
Today, because I thought I heard that was Florida State
last year.
Yeah, and then
and there are some analysts
Ohio
out
State
there
is done this year. So I mean, I don't know.
There are some there are some analysts out there that believe that Ole Miss's portal class this year might be the best class assembled yet. Believed to be, not no are. We haven't seen him play a football game yet, so I don't know.
Oh, that's well and good. Why is Dabo at 4?
Dabo is at 4 because the Clemson Tigers ain't the Clemson Tigers of 2018. That's it. Kalen DeBoer is number 2 because I think your question isn't why is Dabo 3, it's why is Kalen DeBoer 2 over Dabo.
I have a lot of questions. This list is not very good.
What's the most egregious thing for you?
I don't understand the criteria. I don't know which is worse, Ryan Day at 10 or Dabo at 4. And I definitely have a problem with DeBoer being a 2 when he's never coached this team yet. And it just, and this is the reason why you put lists together for arguments. And I think if I wasn't an Ohio State fan, I think you wouldn't be doing what you're doing because you're coming at me and I probably deserve
Not
it.
at all. Not at all. I knew as soon as this got brought up, there would be a lot of folks upset about Ryan Day being at number 10, a coach that you're right, does have a playoff.
I don't understand what this list is for. I mean, what
we're doing right now.
Yeah. But I mean, what is
That's
this?
it.
Is this just the best coaches in this guy's opinion? Or, I mean, what is this? I don't understand the list.
It is power ranking coaches today, this second, right now, not what they've
These
done.
are my favorite coaches today. These are the most powerful.
Well, if you
that's
said
that's basically what it is.
Correct. Like, right. That's why I opened this segment with we don't do lists on the show.
I sent it to you because of the stupidity. I mean, if there was, the list makes no sense. The only thing that makes sense is Kirby Smart at 1. That's the only thing that makes sense.
Kirby Smart at 1 makes sense. I'm going to argue, no, he has not coached a game at Alabama, but he coached a game at Washington last year. Which game? The national championship game.
Not the
And
SEC, by the way.
He made the national championship game.
Mhm.
I mean, every SEC team had the same opportunity, like Alabama did, and they didn't get it done. So that is one of those spots where that reeks of Big Ten / SEC arrogance is what that sounds like. Oh, if you don't make it and make it out of our conference, it's illegitimate. It doesn't count if you don't. If anybody else makes it, not from our conferences, they're pretenders, usurpers to our throne. Is the sound I get from that.
So if Harbaugh was still at Michigan, would he be on this list? And
Yes.
where would he be?
Probably number 2.
No,
honestly.
well, he should be number 1 if he was if he was still coaching college football.
I don't necessarily think that I would agree
Because he
with
just
that.
won the national championship.
He did, but I'd also argue that before him came Kirby winning back to back, and
Yeah, but we're talking
you
about
had-
now. See, that's the thing. What,
and
is this
you
list?
had-
Is this list historic or is it just right now? You
And-
just said it's power ranking right now. So what you're saying is not going to make sense.
And you had a large contingent of people who I assume would also have said what you just said about the SEC. Well, Washington didn't come out of the SEC, so it's illegitimate. You also had a Georgia team that lost a game, a close game, a very close game to Alabama last year. And a lot of people believe Georgia should have gone to the college football playoffs either instead of or with Alabama last year. And I would be comfortable saying, although they did not beat Alabama in the SEC title game, I am comfortable saying had Georgia gone to the Natty playoffs last year, I think Georgia would have run up 3 in a row. And I think Georgia is without a doubt, and I do think it does include and have a lot to do with what today is. Georgia right now is not consensus, but overwhelmingly viewed as the number 1 college football team in the United States. That's what Kirby Smart's put together. If Harbaugh was still there, there's still no J.J. McCarthy. There's still no Blake Corum. There's still, 4 of Michigan's offensive linemen have moved on. So the difference between Kirby and theoretical Jim Harbaugh here is that Kirby has put together a team that last year could have been national champs, was certainly good enough to be national champs. They come back this year, consensus number 1. Michigan's at number 9, and I'm going to say something else just to see how Lonzo feels about this. I think Michigan is overrated at number 9, to tell you the truth. I view Michigan closer to like number 17.
All right, so this is about the coach and not about the team. So you're saying you'd be ranking Harbaugh at 9.
No, I would be ranking Harbaugh at the top. Those are 2 different entities.
All right, this list is coaches. I don't know where you just went with all the team
Because
thing,
the
but we're talking
construction,
about the list
the
that are about
construction
coaches.
of a team is part of the purview of the head coach. It is not the only purview of the head coach, but it is a major part of the purview of the head coach. If a coach puts together one good team and makes one good run, that's one thing. That's one thing. If a coach puts together one good team, makes a good run, and then immediately the next year is again again, not consensus, but overwhelmingly best team in the country, that's a coach who's putting a team together time after time after time after time, not a flash in the pan. Do I think Jim Harbaugh would have constructed a team that suddenly was not ranked number 9 nationally, but 2 nationally? No, I don't. You lost all the weapons from last year, and the recruiting class was not in place when Harbaugh left. But if I asked for a coach to run one team, one game on any given Saturday for a win, Harbaugh's absolutely a name that I would consider if my job was on the line. That's why I'd have him up at the top. It's also why I have Kalen DeBoer, and I think he's overrated at 2? Honestly, I don't, because looking down the rest of the list, who else am I moving ahead of him?
Oh my gosh, this is bad.
Why is it bad?
Because you went all around there's no way you make this list. There's no way if you made a list, it would look like this.
I think it would be strikingly similar.
No way. No way it would be.
I am the
similar.
only one that has been saying, and not just on this station, I am the only one on this station and on BetQL. So when it happens, you better believe that I will once again be tooting my own horn.
Still, it's very appropriate for
on
this
the
segment.
show.
Yes.
Kalen DeBoer is absolutely a guy I think is going to roll. Usually the guy that follows the guy ain't the guy when the guy leaves, but I think this guy is going to follow the guy and successfully follow the guy to be the next guy that is the guy after the guy, because Kalen DeBoer has been not just won everywhere he's gone, he's been dominant everywhere he's gone, including, by the way, and yes, it ain't the SEC, I'm aware, but last year was the best season of Pac-12 football that I can remember in a very long time, and he dominated it, including beating the guy that's number 3 on the list, not once but twice. A guy that I am telling you right now today, do not be shocked if your Buckeyes are playing the Oregon Ducks in the Big Ten title game this year. In fact, don't only not be shocked, I'm predicting that to happen.
Okay, all this emotion, why would I be shocked by that? Oregon's ranked number 3 right now, right?
They are.
Yeah.
And you know why?
So if preseason polls are accurate, why would I be shocked by that?
Well, first off, preseason polls are usually far from accurate. Somebody put up a stat the other day. I don't remember it off the top of my head, but they said
list of coaches.
They said something to the tune of at least one team, at least one team every year for the past X years has been ranked below 15 and been inside the top 6 or 7. I don't remember exactly what the list was. No, they're never accurate. But Kirby Smart has put together consistently for 4 consecutive years now a national championship caliber team. Kalen DeBoer has dominated his entire career and just came off a national championship. Dan Lanning last year in the best year of Pac-12 football, which again ain't the SEC, but the best year the Pac-12's had in, I don't know, since I was in high school. Dan Lanning lost 2 games, both of them to Kalen DeBoer and nobody else. And the Oregon Ducks are a preseason top 3 team. Why isn't Dabo higher? Because Clemson ain't been higher. That, and they're in the ACC.
Higher?
You think it should be lower?
Who asked that question? Who asked why isn't Dabo higher?
Oh, I thought you were saying he should be higher.
Dude, come on. Why is he even on this list? Why is he? When's the last time Clemson was relevant? It doesn't. The list makes no sense to me. That's why I sent it to you. I don't understand the criteria. I don't understand. First, you said it's a power ranking right now, which again still makes absolute no sense. Then you went into all the history of the teams. Like that should factor into what's going on right now when you said the power ranking list was for right now. So the history should not matter. I just power ranking right now. So all those coaches are better than Ryan Day, including Dabo Swinney. No, it doesn't make sense. And why is Lane Kiffin on there? Why is DeBoer on there? Because he has it with the present team that he's on, he hasn't coached one single down.
For the record, I would have Ryan Day dramatically higher. I would have Ryan Day ahead of Lane Kiffin. I would have Ryan Day ahead of Brian Kelly. I would honestly have Ryan Day ahead of Steve Sarkisian. I would have him. I'd probably have to put him ahead of Mike Norvell. I'd probably have to put him ahead of Kyle Whittingham. I might have Ryan Day 5th on this list. I might have him 4th. I might put him ahead of Dabo Swinney. I might have Ryan Day as high as 4. What's it? So Ryan Day being 10 and too low, Dabo being 4 and too high. Are those that and Kalen DeBoer too?
And DeBoer bothers me too because he hasn't coached it down at Alabama. And you talk about the guy following the guy. Yes. How often does a guy do really well somewhere else and follow a legend? Doesn't happen very often because there aren't that many legends.
There aren't that many legends. That part's true. I would say this. The list is not top 10 college football coaches at the school that they're at now. It's just top 10 head coaches in college football. And if my coach had left this offseason and we got Kalen DeBoer, I would have said we made the best hire of this offseason. Hands down, no questions asked. We made the best hire of this offseason. We can bring this back up later on in the show. But before we get there, let's get a sports flash.
The Atlanta Falcons acquired pass rusher Matthew Judon from the New England Patriots in return for a 3rd-round draft pick. According to ESPN's Adam Schefter, the Falcons and Judon will work towards a contract before this season for the 32-year-old 4-time Pro Bowler. Judon recorded a career-high 15.5 sacks in 2022, but missed out last season because of a torn bicep. The Atlanta Braves won their 3rd straight over the San Francisco Giants with a 13-2 victory last night. The Braves had 11 hits, including 4 home runs, one of which was a grand slam from Michael Harris in his first game back from the injured list. And make sure you tune in this afternoon from 3 to 7 p.m. for our brand new local show, Wire to Wire. Cole Bryson and Dees will get you up to date on the latest local and national sports news. Great guests, great debate, a whole lot of fun, and it's all Wire to Wire. Wow, Bill sounds rough.
After 30 years of doing knee and hip replacements, Dr. Mitchell Scheinkup thought there had to be a better way, and that led him to regenerative medicine. I was one of the first orthopedic surgeons to do it. Now, after 20 years of successful orthobiologic treatments, lots of clinical data, research, and teaching, Dr. Scheinkup is National Medical Director at QC Kinetics.
They've done an amazing job of becoming the most significant orthobiologic and regenerative medicine practice in the United States. QC is so far ahead of the game in its science, its protocols, its people, its facilities.
I mean, so here's the only issue I have with that, Tracy. If you're saying you can't put him higher until he proves he can win in the SEC, then no coaches on this list outside of SEC coaches can be there. The coaches that have won in the SEC. So the list would be Kirby. I mean, I think if you're going about it that way, you'd have to
read the
Dabo
whole
up there.
thing. He said Ryan Day would be at
Ryan Day should be 2 because he'd be constant winning coach. Dabo is probably 5. I'm fine with Dabo 5. I said I'd put Ryan Day probably as high. I'd probably put Ryan Day at 3.
I just
put him
want to
ahead of
remind
Dan
you,
Lanning.
if I recall, Ohio State was ranked like number 1 all year long until they lost to Michigan.
My issue with Ryan Day, as I explained a minute ago, is there's noise around that program right now. And I know that to be a fact because you've brought up the noise.
Yes.
So there's noise around the program. Can I have a coach at 2 or 1, really even 3? Can I have a list can I have a coach at 1, 2, or 3 who is currently coaching a program that has that much noise around?
Here's the thing. You think the noise is ridiculous.
I absolutely do.
You said that.
But
so
whether I
noise
think it's
is
ridiculous
fan
or not.
noise. You don't know what on campus it is. Yeah, you need to beat Michigan for sure. But they've been there, and they would have been in the
I agree
playoffs.
with you.
If it was 12 teams, they would have been there.
defending
Yeah.
Ryan Day and calling those people crazy.
If they would have been in the playoffs, if it was a 12-team playoff, Ohio State probably would have been in the playoff every single year that Ryan Day's been coached.
I agree. I'm the one that's been defending Ryan Day from the overzealous Buckeye fans.
But this guy, it's not a fan poll; it's that guy's poll.
Sure.
So we're not. So the fans should be left out of it.
No, fan noise around a program is a distraction from the program. And part of coaching is limiting distractions around a program.
If it was that important, Dabo would have never made it as far as he did or won any championships because the fan noise the first couple of years of his tenure was loud.
I agree. And if you would have asked in 2015 this list, I don't think Dabo would have been on it at that point. But he has quelled the fan noise to the point that even with losses,
they haven't been relevant in like 3 years. So I don't get why he's on the list or as high as the list. High on the list.
I mean, again, I can't defend Max Chadwick's position. I can only defend my own in this spot. I think a lot of coaches would have done a lot worse with Clemson the last couple of years.
Maybe. All right, take all the other people on that top 10 list, all the other coaches, put them on Clemson the last couple of years.
I don't think you're getting a ton of different results.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think you're getting I think at the end of the day, now you could make the argument that, and this is probably one of the ones that would put him lower down on the list. I can make the argument that Dabo's lost the touch at finding the generational quarterbacks that made him Dabo. And if he's lost that touch, he's in a world of hurt. Rob Brown Show rolls on. It is the Fan Upstate. Rob, Lonzo, you be a part of the show. The Renewal by Anderson of Carolina's fan phone is open at 844-FANFONE. That's 844-326-3663. You may text us this lovely Upstate Thursday morning at 71307. 71307. Start your text with FAN, F-A-N, and we'll read them on the air. FAN, F-A-N. We will read them on the air. Shoot me a tweet at The Rob Brown Show. Shoot Lonzo a tweet at Lonzo on Word, or tweet everybody in the station at The Fan Upstate. If you want to go at it in that direction, you're certainly welcome to do so. Love to have you on the program this morning. Got your water cooler cheat sheet coming up here in just a minute, but a couple of texts that have come out from the response to Max Chadwick's list of the top 10 head coaches in college football. Here's a couple of them. Texter said, Spartanburg J says, quote, Rob, if Ohio State fumbles day over losing to Michigan, not the college football playoff, not Natties, but Michigan, that's crazy. I mean, I understand it. Also, if the O-line is improved, Clemson is Clemson. See, and that was one of the discussions that came up during the break, is why Dabo at 4? And I said, one of the arguments that could move him down the list is, has Dabo lost the touch as far as his ability to go find, recruit, and develop, top-notch quarterbacks, top-caliber quarterbacks? That's what carried Dabo to being Dabo in the first place, his ability to go find the Deshaun Watson and the Taj Boyds, et cetera, and the Trevor Lawrences, and elevate them into being some of the best quarterbacks in the game. He's now 0 for 2 on the last two between DJ Uiagalelei and, so far, Cade Klubnik. Now, if Cade Klubnik comes out this year and he tears it up, Dabo Swinney right back to the top of this list, especially if Clemson makes a run at, not wins, but makes a run at a natty, makes a run, goes undefeated or one loss and wins the ACC. He goes right back up towards the top of this list. But I think that's why he's down at number 4. Kind of the opposite of Kyle Whittingham. Kyle Whittingham is where Kyle Whittingham is because Kyle Whittingham has found quarterbacks, has found Cam Rising, has found guys that have stepped in when he's been injured. And Utah has found more success than maybe they've ever found in their history as a program. That's why he is at number 5. Mike Norvell is at 6, largely because Mike Norvell is a portal wizard, Ari, and put together a stellar class that brought him a 13-0 conference championship last year and a deserved playoff spot that he was not awarded at the end of the season. So I get the thought here, but I understand where this is coming from. Texter said, out of all active college football coaches who has the national titles, those should be your top guys until someone else win one. And yeah, look, on this list, you have a national championship out of Kirby Smart. You have a national championship out of Dabo Swinney. It's not an extensive list, but the list, to me, if you're putting together a list like this,
okay, so that texter, so Mac Brown should be on there. When's the last time he won a national championship?
Exactly.
I mean, you can't do that.
The list to me is, if you had to bring in a coach right now to coach your team for one season, and you as the czar of college football have the right to take any coach off of any team and install them as the coach of your team for one season, which coach are you selecting? And if that is the case, Kirby Smart's got to be your answer, right? It is who's doing what right now today. And to me, part of the Ryan Day argument is there's a lot of fan noise around that program. And it is only over one team. It is only over Michigan. But there's a lot of fan noise around the program, and it's hard for me to say that a coach, if I go down this list of coaches right now, honestly, there's one guy that there's fan noise around his program, and it's Ryan Day. He's the only guy. You could maybe make the argument there's fan noise around Dabo, but the fan noise is not, oh, if Dabo doesn't do X, we fire him. It's Dabo's not running this program the way that I would run this program, and I got a problem with that. I haven't really, and I thought about this during the break. for all of the, he's not using the portal, he's not embracing NIL, he's not doing, I will say this. I can't recall a caller or a texter who has hit us with Dabo should be fired. I haven't heard that yet. I've heard a couple. We might have a conversation after the season's over, but I haven't heard anybody call for his job. I can't say that about Ryan Day.
Well, after this year, we'll see. By the way, Ryan Day in 5 years, 56-8 is his record.
Again, Rob Brown has been the one on this show defending the hell out of Ryan Day. Not a Buckeye guy, not a horse chestnut guy. That's why Ryan Day is on this list and should be on this list. In fact, Rob Brown would have him on this list probably closer to 3 than 10 because of that record. But he's got 8 losses during his time at Ohio State. How many of those are to Michigan? 3 in a row, right? And that's the noise. That's not good enough for me. That's not a good reason for me. I can't go in that direction. So, Texas said, yeah, Ryan Day sucks, man. He took over Urban Meyer's team, and what has he done? So does Lane Kiffin. Terrible coaches, end quote.
Okay, I get the Ryan Day hate because it's probably a Clemson fan, and that's fine. But I agree with Lane Kiffin. What has Lane Kiffin done? I mean, he's entertaining.
He is entertaining as hell.
And he's a good coach. Is he a great coach, though? He hasn't reached great coach yet.
I do think that Lane Kiffin is likely on this list because of a combination of success in the or what appears to be, we'll find out this year, success in the portal, putting together a great portal class, and the fact that that is translated to a large chunk of people who have a say in this type of thing, ranking Ole Miss inside the top. Ole Miss, for the record, yesterday we were doing our best college football futures when I was in on the BetQL network. We were doing our best futures, and one of the futures I had was Alabama to make the playoffs this year. It's an even money bet. That's an even money. Bet a hundo, win a hundo for Alabama to make the playoffs. And then I was like, let me go look at some of the other teams. Like, let's see why they're even money when teams like Georgia are like minus 750 or whatever. Ole Miss has shorter odds to make the playoffs than Alabama does. Alabama's even money. Ole Miss is like minus 125. It's a shorter bet, which is unbelievable. And I think the compilation of that is probably why he's here. But we'll see. Spartanburg J says, Lonzo, yes, Day is top 5, but not having Dabo on the list is as crazy as Ohio State firing Ryan Day. I would agree with that.
Well, if I were making a list, I would definitely have recency bias for sure. And has Dabo been a great coach? Yeah, absolutely. They won a couple of national championships, but what have they done the last couple of years? That would factor into where he would be on the list for me.
I think I don't have an argument against that. I don't have an issue with that at all. Hurricane Jeff says, good morning, gentlemen. Have a great day. Thank you, Jeff. Great to hear from you, buddy. Appreciate you checking in. Texas said only 3 active head coaches have a natty. Right.
Thank
Kirby.
you. Thank you, Clemson fan.
Kirby, Dabo, and Mac.
Yeah, we know.
And that's, again, I don't judge. This is just how I do it. I don't judge a coach's success in natties. I judge their success after they get one. Dabo had a run there where he was a dominant face. Him and Nick Saban were the dominant faces in college football because they would win a natty and then be right back in the conversation the next year. That's Kirby Smart. That's why I think he's that high on that list. Texas said, I know plenty of Clemson fans, none of them as passionate about Dabo as Lonzo is. Great job, guys. Well, thank you for the kind words. Texas said, Kiffin has done nothing except have middling teams. Brian Kelly, same. Dabo, he's only on there out of honorable mention to those who have been. This list is rat poison, and there are a whole bunch of lemmings loving it. See that right there? That's why we don't do a lot of lists on this program. Here's the thing, and I think the point's being proven right now. Lists generate wonderful sports talk radio conversation.
They do. And also
I probably should do lists
because conversation about this list and the area we're in, of course, we're going to get a bunch of Clemson fans commenting, and they should. But I think the realistic ones will look at the body of work the last couple of years and realize there's been a falling off. There absolutely is. Can they get back to where they were? there's a good possibility they could, but it all comes down to the quarterback. You can talk about the offensive line, but it comes down to the quarterback.
Yeah, well, again, I think that was true during the Clemson dynastic days. I think that is true of a lot of schools. This is one of the reasons that, respectfully, I'm not as high on Georgia as everybody else is. I don't think Carson Beck is a quarterback superstar. I think he's good, but I think he's a guy that you're going to have to build around and have carried a little bit. I'm not as high on Georgia. I think that team is going to be dominant at every position. I think they have an okay quarterback at the helm, and I think that there's a spot or two somewhere on that schedule that Carson Beck ends up costing Georgia. I still think Georgia's going to the playoff because I think in the regular season and maybe the SEC championship, and that might be the spot that he cost them, I think Georgia's getting one loss, and I think if you have one loss in the SEC, you're going to the playoffs. I think they'll be in the playoffs. A Georgia bet to make the playoffs feels like a real good bet. But I'm not as high on Georgia as in an inevitable national champion as a lot of guys are because of the quarterback position. And I kind of think that you can look at Dabo Swinney as kind of the ultimate example of that. When the guy has had a nationally significant quarterback, Dabo Swinney's in the mix for a natty. When he hasn't, that is the last couple of years in a row, Clemson's not relevant. That is the conversation. And so that is one of, again, I'm not as high on Georgia. I am high on Alabama. I will take a bet that they will make the playoff this year because I do believe that Jalen Milroe by the end of this year is going to do a very similar to what Jalen Hurts and what Bryce Young both did at Alabama. Going to have a breakout year when it matters the most. Going to step up and do big things when it matters the most. And if Jalen Milroe, who, by the way, I shouldn't have a breakout year. My guy is the second shortest odds to win the Heisman Trophy. If Jalen Milroe has that kind of year, Alabama's going to be right there in the mix at the end of the year. Right there at the end of the year, right there on the list. Having that QB, though, all of these things we're talking about, they're all aspects of the head coach. They're all in the purview of the head coach. And if they are in the purview of the head coach, then their success or failure at those things is or is not a reason to put them higher or lower on said list. Hurricane Jeff said, where does Mario Cristobal fall on that list? Jeff, nowhere near the top 10, bud. All due respect to you and your Canes, nowhere near the top 10, and I'll tell you why. 2 seasons ago, I watched your Hurricanes straight up quit on Mario Cristobal. Straight up quit on Mario Cristobal. And if you're a head coach that puts together a team that when the going gets tough, the tough get going into the offseason, yeah, I can't have you sniffing this list. So no, you're nowhere near it. That being said, we talked a minute ago about the concept of roster building being a large reason about why a coach would or would not be on this list, right? Kirby Smart is on this list, not just because of the success of the Georgia Bulldogs, not just because Georgia is a, not consensus, but majority viewed number one team coming into the season, but because Kirby Smart builds a roster that is considered that year after year after year. Mario Cristobal has built a hell of a roster at Miami, including transfer Cam Ward, by the way, in case you weren't paying attention, Cam Ward was voted the number 1 all ACC player coming into this season. Cam Ward was voted the ACC's preseason player of the year. That dude's a stud. In fact, yesterday, I listed him on BetMGM Tonight, which I also did a hit on last night because I was a very busy boy. Cam Ward is also a Heisman bet for me. That's a Heisman bet for me because you're getting 15-1 odds, and Mario Cristobal has built a team in Miami that has not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, but 5 all ACC player selections to start this year. 5 all ACC player selections to start the year. If Mario Cristobal can't do something with this roster, time to move on. Time to make that call to Urban Meyer to get him to come down. That's only fitting, right? All right, let's do this. We went way late, but again, list, generate conversation, baby. We got some more thoughts out there. Jacob has a thought about the Braves. We'll get to. Shane has been relentlessly asking about the hiring of Mauricio Pochettino to the U.S. men's national team. We're going to talk about that coming up later on in the show. But when we come back, late is better than not at all, right? Your water cooler cheat sheet's up next on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate.
QC.
All right, guys, quick live when we're back with the water cooler cheat sheet. Stay right there for me. Rob Brown Show on your radio. It's the Fan Upstate. You have about 37 minutes left until you got to get to work. You got to clock in, lock in, get yourself ready to rock and roll and talk some sports around the office because we all know that's your priority. Why wouldn't it be, right? And if it is your priority, you're going to talk sports around the office today. You need to know what's going on. And if you need to know what's going on, well, ladies and gentlemen, you need this.
Are you ready for the playbook of the peculiar, the almanac of the absurd, and the encyclopedia of the extraordinary? Well, you better be, because we're diving headfirst into the 3 top stories that will have your coworkers saying, "These are going to hurt you, sir." Take their first bathroom break.
No.
Here we go. Welcome to the Water Cooler Cheat Sheet on the Fan Upstate.
It is the Water Cooler Cheat Sheet, the top 3 sports stories that you need to know before you get to the office and start talking sports with your coworkers. This morning, we got a haul. Let's dive right in. Item number 1. We've been talking the last few days about the situation brewing in NASCAR. Austin Dillon wins the Cookout 400 this past Sunday evening, and part of the reason he did, well, he dumped Joey Logano heading into turn 3 of the final lap of the race. He spun Logano, and he had to slow up because Logano's car spun in front of him. When he did, Denny Hamlin went speeding underneath him to take the number 1 spot. So what happened? Stone Cold Steve Austin Dillon dove down and knocked Denny Hamlin into the wall. Austin 316 says, "I just spun your ass." Anyway, Austin Dillon ended up winning the race by dumping not 1 but 2 cars headed to the start-finish line for the win. Joey Logano said the win was chicken at the end of the day. Well, NASCAR said, they said, we're going to do an investigation. We're going to go look at the audio. We're going to listen to the video. You know, that's how those 2 things work. Scratch that and reverse it, said the great Gene Wilder. Anyway, after a thorough investigation of the situation, they decided, Austin Dillon, you may keep your win. You may claim to be the winner of the Cookout 400 at Richmond, Virginia this past weekend. But what you will not do is have the automatic playoff berth. That win will not be your ticket to the win and in playoff series for NASCAR's postseason. So Austin Dillon not only getting the playoff berth removed, but 25 points removed from his tally as well. Now that still moves him up in the playoff rankings, but it moves him up from 32 only to 31, meaning Austin Dillon in the number 3 car has now got work to do. Effectively, he's either got to finish very close to the top of each podium every single week for the final 3 races of the NASCAR regular season, or he's got to win a race or he will not be racing in NASCAR's postseason. Part of the reason that they decided to levy this punishment is because NASCAR listened to the spotter audio late in that race, and his spotter, Brandon Benesh, was suspended 3 races. Why? Because when Logano was getting up behind the rear bumper of Joey Logano, Benesh said into the microphone, quote, "Wreck him," end quote. And then Austin Dillon wrecked him. So they said, you know what? That's too egregious. And remember, yesterday we were talking about this, and I'll come back to this later in the show, but I said, what? You can't really punish these guys because you've got to be able to prove intent. You've got to be able to prove that the wreck was intentional. You got to be able to prove he meant to do it. Well, when the spotter goes, "Wreck him," and then you wreck him, it makes it easy to prove intent.
But see, wreck him is a phrase, man. It doesn't mean actually wreck him as in win. I mean, you know.
Yeah, as opposed to going,
go win the race. Well, Reckham's easier to say than all that.
Win. Hey, boss, it's Austin Dillon down here in the 3 car. What do you suggest I do coming out of turn 3? Win. All right, boss, you got it. Going for the win.
Not everyone talks like you, Rob.
Achieve victory in this sporting competition.
See, that's too long.
Yeah, that's exactly what you would say if you're. That's why you could not be the spotter.
Item number 2 on the water cooler cheat sheet. Money Mike's back, baby! First inning, Money Mike Harris stepped to the dish for the first time in a long time for the Atlanta Braves, coming off of the injured list. And what'd he do? No big deal. Just went granny. Hit a monster dong yesterday. Did Michael Harris II, a grand slam in the first inning, scored 4 of the Bravos' first 5 runs, and it was all Atlanta after that. A 13-2 win over the San Francisco Giants yesterday. Grant Holmes got the win. 7 innings pitched, gave up 8 hits, but only 2 runs, K'd 6 through those 7 innings. Did surrender 1 dinger in the game, but that was it. Atlanta reels off their 3rd consecutive road win in San Francisco over the G-Men. The first 2 both extra innings contests. Last night, nope, they just went ahead and beat the G-Men. They are now set up to take a 4-game series sweep against San Francisco today at 3:45 when they play the series finale. The win moves Atlanta to 64-56. They are now 6 games back of the division lead, held currently by the Philadelphia Phillies. But maybe more importantly, they have given themselves a little bit of breathing room between they and the New York Mets, who are 62-58 now, 2 games back of Atlanta for the final wild card spot. As it stands right now in said wild card standings, the Atlanta Braves hurled the 3rd and final wild card position. As mentioned, they are 2 games up on the Mets, and courtesy of 3 straight wins, now 4.5 games up on the San Francisco Giants for that last wild card spot. The bad news for Atlanta, they are 4 games back of the top 2 teams in the National League wildcard race, the Arizona Diamondbacks and the San Diego Padres, both of which are 69-53 right now. So the Braves are in a position to make a run to the playoffs right now. That is the good news. If the playoffs ended today, the Bravos would take on the divisional winner that does not get a bye. Today, that would be the Milwaukee Brewers. In a set, they would have to go to Milwaukee to start up. Honestly, there's worse positions the Braves could be in. Now, they would likely get, right now, the LA Dodgers in round number 2, as they are 1 game up on the Phillies for the National League 1 spot. But we'll burn that bridge when we get there. The Bravos, as James just said, like the Undertaker kicking out and rising up after every F5. Good reference from James there on the Facebook stream, which you should join us, facebook.com/thefanupstate, The Fan Upstate on YouTube, The Rob Brown Show on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch. Join the stream. Come in, chat. Let's have a good time, shall we? Also, let's get to item number 3. A trio of NFL stories that we shall burn through make up item number 3. We begin with what we ended with yesterday on the show, J.J. McCarthy. Well, it went from hopefully he just has a minor meniscus injury to J.J. McCarthy's 2024 rookie season is over before it officially began. The Minnesota Vikings rookie quarterback sidelined until 2025 after undergoing surgery yesterday to repair a torn meniscus in his right knee. That according to HCKOC Kevin O'Connell. The news was shortly after a bit of optimism that the Vikings had. The Vikings were hoping that J.J. McCarthy, who, is it fair to say, Zoe, maybe was the most impressive rookie in week 1. Not the best, but the most impressive based on what we expected to see.
Definitely not what I thought would happen with him. So, yeah, you're right.
He had the pick, and we all went, here we go. And then he started dropping dimes on dudes for the rest of his performance. I think of all of the rookie quarterbacks in week 1 of the preseason, I think J.J. McCarthy arguably had the best showing. Not the best showing in terms of what he did, but the best showing in terms of what he did relative to what we expected him to do. He is done for the year. Sam Darnold will get the start for the Vikings as QB1. Story number 2, Brandon Ayuk, still with the San Francisco 49ers. And as I, by the way, because I know ball, correctly predicted and projected, this was a slow burn. This was a slow burn. And by the way, expertly played by Brandon Ayuk. Ayuk knew what he was doing. Ayuk said, hey, yo, Ayuk is on fire. You can't win without me. And the window for you to make a run to the Super Bowl wall is closing rapidly. Brock Purdy ain't the reason that you were in the Super Bowl last year. Me, Christian McCaffrey, George Kittle, and Deebo Samuels were the reason that you were in the Super Bowl last year. The window is closing on you very, very rapidly, and you couldn't get by Patrick Mahomes with me. You certainly can't get by playoff Pat without me. You better pay me, Jack. And now it looks like the 49ers are going to. And finally, in a discussion that we will have coming up very briefly here on the show, the Atlanta Falcons. Y'all absolutely moaned. I would even say because they went and got Michael Penix Jr. and didn't improve their defensive stock. Well, they did now. Matthew Judon, excellent pass rusher, did miss last year with a torn biceps. The year before that, no big deal, 15 and a half sacks, set a career high, is now an Atlanta Falcon, and they got him for a third-round pick. That's about as good as you can ask for. Does have to get a contract together as he approaches the final year of a 4-year, $54 million contract, due $6.5 million in salary this season. He sought an extension from the Patriots. The Patriots said, nah, bro, we good. We eyed. They send him to Atlanta for a third-round pick. It's just like that. Falcons fans rejoice, ATL. That defensive improvement you said you wanted to see? Your defense just improved as Matthew Judon heads to the ATL in return for a third-round pick. We're going to get to all of those NFL stories and the rest of yesterday's move when we come back. I was going to say tomorrow. We will. But first, we got to come back the next segment of the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
New life.
All right, guys, one more live when we're back. Stay right there for me. Thank you. You're all amazing. Love you. three-time South Carolina Broadcasters Association Sports Talk Radio Show of the Year awards winning The Rob Brown Show is live on the Fan Upstate. Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen. Wonderful to have you all as members of the Rob Brown Show Armada this beautiful Upstate Thursday morning. Yesterday, in the early portion of the show, we had a conversation about this dealio in the world of NASCAR. And I do think that it applies to a number of other, we're really all the other sports. If we're being honest, like really all the other sports. And the discussion was about how and if Austin Dillon should be penalized for what he did in the final lap of the Cookout 400 this past Sunday evening in Richmond, Virginia. I explained it for you in the water cooler cheat sheet. I'll lay it out. A very quick nuts and bolts left on the track version of the story is this. Austin Dillon going into the last round of pits looked like he was going to win the race. There was a caution. He ended up dropping back to second place behind Joey Logano. On the final lap, Austin Dillon, trying to get by Joey Logano, wrecked Joey Logano. Then, when he wrecked Joey Logano, who spun around on the track, Joey Logano spun in front of Austin Dillon. Austin Dillon had to slow up. It allowed Denny Hamlin to dive down to the bottom line, get underneath him, take the lead, heading into the backstretch to win the Cookout 400. So Austin Dillon then wrecked out him, took Denny Hamlin out, put him into the wall, and ended up winning the race. There were a lot of folks who were quite upset after the race at Stone Cold Steve Austin Dillon. Because Austin 316 says, I just spun your ass. I really like that tag, by the way. That was a brilliant piece of PR from Lonzo yesterday. So a lot of folks were really mad. Joey Logano said that the move to win was chicken and that he should be punished for it. And yesterday on the show, we said, hey, look, let's take a breather here. Shall we? Let's take a breather and really think about this just a little bit. I said yesterday on the show, I don't know how it is that you can punish Austin Dillon. I don't know how it is that you can punish Austin Dillon because I don't think you can prove intent. No, I'm not an attorney, nor did I stay in a Holiday Inn Express last night. But I am related to one, and he and I have had this conversation before. For many crimes, you must be able to prove intent. If you can't prove intent, you can't prove guilt. And that is kind of, although sports are not the legal system and vice versa, that is kind of how I felt about this. I'm like, do I think he did it on purpose? You're damn right I do. It's pretty obvious to anybody with functioning eyeballs that it was pretty obvious that those were intentional wrecks. But can I prove that they were intentional? Can I prove that he did it on purpose? I also, being intellectually honest, had to say, no, I really can't. I cannot prove that Austin Dillon did it on purpose. Do I think he did? Yes, 1,000%. I think that Austin Dillon wrecked those two cars on purpose, but I can't prove it. And at the end of the day, I can't punish what I can't prove. Elliot Sawyer is NASCAR's senior vice president of competition, and he said, yeah, we're going to take a look at it. All right. Can't promise anything. We're going to take a look at it. We're going to see if we can figure something out here. And so they did. And they looked at the video from every camera in the building, and they listened to the audio, and then they punished Austin Dillon. How did they punish Austin Dillon? They punished Austin Dillon by taking away his playoff berth. Remember, it's a win and in format in NASCAR. You win a race in the regular season, you make it into the postseason. And they said, yep, you win the race. Congrats. You get to keep the trophy, which in the Cookout 400, I believe, is a Cookout chocolate peanut butter banana milkshake, which is goat tier milkshake, by the way.
Sounds really good.
You ever had a Cookout shake?
I've been to Cookout, but I don't recall having a shake there. No.
They're good, dude. They got that good thick shake, but not so thick that it's not milkshakey, you know? A lot of places go for the thick shake and you're like, you just gave me a cup of ice cream here.
So it doesn't take you an hour to drink it?
Correct.
Okay. All right.
Like it's not, you know, because the worst thing's when you ask for a milkshake and you get that real melted, like more cream than shake.
Flavored
you know?
milk, yeah.
Yeah, nobody likes that. Cookout, this is a free endorsement, by the way. Cookout's got that shake that's thick enough that you're drinking a good quality milkshake, but not so thick that you're like, I need a spoon. I don't want a spoon from a milkshake. All right. I want it to be a good shake. And Cookout's got it. I believe by winning the Cookout 400, you get a large Cookout shake of your choosing. They also have like 41 flavors that you can combine however you wish. It's pretty spectacular. Anyway.
So don't take your wife or girlfriend there because it might take, you know.
Oh God, if they're indecisive, you're going to be there for an hour.
Yeah.
All right. The fiance, she knows she's got two shakes. She rotates between the two. We didn't hit the Cookout, no worries. First time we went, she's like, I don't know what I want. We were in the drive-through for 7 hours. I'm exaggerating. That's not true, but you get the point.
Probably felt like it though.
So, here's why this conversation I think applies to other sports. You all know, as does the great one Lonzo, as he has entered very funny music for when I bring it up on the show, that Rob Brown is absolutely team robo-ump. I think we should have gone to robo-umps like a hot minute ago. We have unlimited technology at our fingertips, right? I've got a camera on this phone right now. The Google Pixel, by the way, fully endorsed by Rob Brown. I got a camera on this phone that I can point and I can tell it I want to film in slow motion. And I can do it. It's actually helped me with my terrible golf swing. Because what I can do is I can film the golf swing and then I can set the start and end point for the slow-mo and I can watch my swing back in like 1/32nd speed. So I can see when I'm coming down. Am I coming over the top? Am I rotating my wrist too much and opening up the club face? Is that why I shanked it 2 neighborhoods away? It's helped dramatically. We have incredible technology at our fingertips, and yet we rely on CB Buckner to get the calls right. CB Buckner, who, by the way, in the third loss to the Milwaukee Brewers, made 22 incorrect calls, and like 17 of them went against the Atlanta Braves. Okay? I'm just saying, sometimes it helps. Anyway, we have all this tech. And so yesterday, when we were having this conversation about the Stone Cold Steve Austin Dillon penalty, somebody texted the show and they said, wait a minute, wait a minute, Rob. You're the guy who wants robo-umps so that every call is either X or Y. It is either foul, no foul, offsides, not offside, strike, ball, out, safe, whatever. Why is it now that you are saying you can't punish this guy? You can't punish this guy. You can't hammer this guy when he very clearly did the thing. And the answer is intent. The answer is because what Austin Dillon did, you can't prove violated anything because it's only a violation if he did it on purpose. And you can't prove that he did it on purpose. A strike is a strike whether the pitcher meant to throw it or not. A ball is fair or foul no matter what mood the umpire woke up in that day. A guy is out or safe regardless of if the first baseman's in a fight with his wife or not. All right? Those things are not subjective or based on mood or emotion. Whether or not Austin Dillon wrecked those guys on purpose, you can't prove it. Therefore, it is by definition subjective. So they punished this cat. Why? If it was subjective and if it was up to subjective reasoning, whether or not it was on purpose, why didn't NASCAR punish him? Very simple. Because they found audio of his spotter going,
wreck him.
The spotter told him wreck the guy, and then he wrecked the guy. That is at close enough to prove intent. That is at least close enough to say it is now fundamentally believable and beyond reasonable doubt. Not that you need it because these are sports, not the justice system, but it is now a subjectively believable reality that these accidents were on purpose. So I'm good with the punishment. I wasn't yesterday. Yesterday I said, I don't think you can punish the guy. I don't think you can take away what is likely his ticket to the postseason, because unless he wins the next 3 races, he's likely not going to the playoff, right? He's got to win one of the next 3 races or he's likely not going to the playoffs. And if he's not going to the playoffs, he can't be the NASCAR stock car champion for this season. I don't think you can take that ticket away from him based on your belief that you can't prove that he violated any rules. But when his spotter says, wreck him, and then he wrecks him, it's no longer subjective anymore. Now it is objective. Someone with authority said, wreck that guy, he wrecked that guy. I can now say comfortably, yeah, he definitely did it on purpose. It is obvious now that he did it on purpose. And if that is indeed the case, the punishment is fine. This has no impact on my standing on robo-umps, because all the other things that we have talked about robo-umps covering, that is where the ball is when the player is down, whether or not the ball beat the runner to first base, whether or not the ball crossed the strike zone. These are all objective things. These are all objective. These are all things that either they did or they did not happen. There's no subjectivity required out of them. So when I say I'm team robo-ump, please know from now on what I mean is I am team robo-ump when it comes to calls that are objectively X or Y. Not subjectively. Whether or not Austin Dillon, until we heard the audio of the wrecker or of the spotter going,
wreck him.
Until we heard that audio, whether or not Stone Cold Steve Austin Dillon wrecked out Logano and Hamlin was a subjective viewpoint. We all know he did it on purpose, but none of us can prove it. Now we can prove it. And that's why he caught that smoke from NASCAR. That is why he has now got his back against the wall. Must-win scenario for Austin Dillon in the last 3 races of the season. When I say Team RoboUmp, please know I am talking about objectively verifiable calls. This thing either did or did not happen. It is a ball or a strike. It is safe out. It is foul or fair. It is where the ball is when the running back or the wide receiver or whatever, when the ball carrier is down. We can verify these things and they are objectively true. And to me, that's what we should be doubting on. That's what we should be working on fixing. And NASCAR, just as far as I am concerned, NASCAR just made that even more obvious in my ever so humble opinion. You know what else is objectively true? What is objectively true is that Rashad Beard will be here in just over 40 minutes. Hate Nas Mario will be here just over an hour. Fight Club just over an hour, 20 minutes away. And Lonzo's good at sports flashing you.
I have to say I was great at it. I mean, New York Yankees outfielder Aaron Judge became the fastest Major League Baseball player in history to reach the 300 career home run list when he hit one to the left for his 43rd home run of the season in a 10-2 Yankees victory. Back down to good, maybe bad, over the White Sox. Judge is the 162nd player to reach 300 and ranks 13th amongst active players. The Atlanta Braves won their 3rd straight over the San Francisco Giants with 13-2 victory last night. The Braves had 11 hits, including 4 home runs, one of which was a grand slam from Michael Harris in his first game back from the injured list. Make sure you tune in this afternoon from 3 to 7 p.m. for our brand new local show, Wire to Wire. Cole Bryson and Diesel get you up to date on the latest local and national sports news. Great guests, great debate, whole lot of fun, and it's all Wire to Wire.
Armament boost would be to jump off 85 at Highway 14 or before and take 29 way hazard. From the News Talk 98.9 WORD Traffic Center, I'm Bill Brooks on the Fan Upstate.
Pain from arthritis is just awful. Bone, constant pain. It robs you of so much of the stuff that you love to do. But there are effective ways to deal with that pain. And I'm not talking about drugs or surgery. Hey, it's Charlie James. Listen, there are exciting new cellular therapies that can get you lasting relief. And the place to go is QC Kinetics. QC Kinetics uses cutting-edge treatments that accelerate your own body's healing properties, revitalizing your joints so you can move again. If you're living with chronic pain from arthritis or injury, you need to know that steroids and surgery and pain pills are no longer your only option. Learn how QC Kinetics can use advanced regenerative medicine to treat the pain, enhance your joints, restore your mobility, and give you long-term relief with no downtime. The local medical professionals at QC Kinetics are ready to help you get your life back with regenerative, restorative cellular treatment for achy joints. Get a free consultation. Give them a call at 864-448-3772. That's 864-448-3772 in Greenville and in Nashville. 864-448-3772.
Get ready for the Marcus King Band family reunion, starring Marcus King Band. The event.
You shouldn't, Wesley, because I'm horrible at it. You'd think after a year of doing it, I would get better. I probably have had like 3 that were decent in the year.
Okay, no Rashad today. Be here tomorrow.
We work hard to prepare businesses for whatever tomorrow may bring. Your dreams are our business, and we have local experts who can help you plan for a successful future.
It's going to be all right, Rob.
Now I got to prep another segment, Rashad.
We take your small business baking personally. Visit your local Home Trust branch.
Just revisit the list. New hour, new audience.
Joey Hudson here for locally owned American-made windows. Listen, if you need new windows, you need to know that those unbelievable deals other companies are offering may be, well, unbelievable. Free windows and huge discounts sound good, but when those discounts are taking off hugely inflated prices, you're paying too much. At American-made windows, Don and Pam don't play those games. Their upfront prices are unequal. Call 499-8853, 499-8853, and remember, the best windows are American-made.
It's bow time. Leg thigh fries, leg thigh fry. It's a deal so nice you have to say it twice. Always fresh and hand breaded. Enjoy this bold and seasoned meal at Bojangles for just $5.99. Sweeten the deal and add a pie to your leg thigh fry. And when you hear this rhyme, you know it's bow time.
Add a
This is the
pie.
story of the one. As a warehouse manager, her job is to transform chaos into clarity and to see patterns where others see problems. Luckily, she's got a partner who shares her perspective. Grainger offers over 1 million industrial-grade products, backed by real person support and in-depth online resources, so she can tackle every task with precision and turn potential setbacks into streamlined success. Call clickgrainger.com or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Mom, meet Sarah.
From first time Nana moments
Yeah, welcome to Flight 101.
to annual girls trip moments. Your can't miss moments are worth protecting against RSV. If you are 75 or older or 60 plus with a chronic condition like asthma, COPD, heart disease, or severe diabetes, you're at higher risk of landing in the hospital from RSV. And there are no prescription RSV treatments. Check eligibility and schedule your RSV vaccine at vaxassist.com.
So where should we go next?
Sponsored by Pfizer.
Listen on the Odyssey app. Search the Fan Upstate.
It's BetMGM tonight.
I'm not going to get offended if you're on the other side of me. Some people on this network like to get mad if somebody's on a different side than them, and I don't get it. I don't care. Really? Yeah, we're fine. You know what? You bet something else. We'll see what happens. Guess what? That's how life works. That's how sports betting works. I'm fading my damn Nats tonight. I was going upstairs, and I walked by the studio where the Nationals network broadcast is run out of, and the great JT the Vic upstairs said, "Hey,
There's a
the Nats tomorrow." BetMGM.
Nightmare Before Christmas Lego set coming out, and it's all of Halloween Town. And I get really excited about it.
Yeah, I've seen it. But
$200.
I was going to say I didn't look at the price because it's Legos.
$200. No Oogie Boogie. Why do I want it without Oogie Boogie? The man's the heartbeat of the movie.
Legos don't do fat.
manufactured locally for the Carolinas. This is the Rob Brown Show. Raw,
And away we go, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Rob Brown Show on your radio. It is the Fan Upstate. A bit of a production notification before we move on with the hour. I've just spoken with Rashad Beard. He will unfortunately not make it today, but it is for a good reason. That reason being that he is attending Carolina Panthers joint practice today. He will actually be out at the practice field in Charlotte, North Carolina, going eyeballs on the boys as they get set for preseason game number 2. The Carolina Panthers hosting Aaron Rodgers, not Aaron Rodgers, because he ain't playing, but Aaron Rodgers is New York Jets coming up Saturday at 7 p.m. at the Bank in Charlotte, North Carolina. So Rashad will join us tomorrow morning on the radio broadcast after going all in on the joint practice today for the Cats.
That's cool, though, because we get a practice report from him.
I mean, that is the freshest of perspectives, you know? So he'll be out of practice today. Rashad will join us tomorrow at 8:40 a.m. We still do have Hayden Ask Mario coming up at 9 a.m. We will preview the NFC and AFC Easts with Mario at 9 o'clock. And then Fight Club coming up at 9:20 this morning, where we'll talk all things MMA, boxing, and pro wrestling. Let's get back to some college football, shall we? We went through our AP top 25 earlier in the week when it was released. The University of Georgia ranked number 1. The Ohio State Horse Chestnuts checking in at number 2. The Oregon Ducks under Dan Lanning rack in the number 3 spot. Texas number 4. Alabama checks in at number 5. That's how they line up coming to the green flag next weekend, week 0, baby. I mean, it's week 0. It's not the most compelling slate of college football games. But at this point, is like, this is like being hungry for 7 months and somebody puts a plate of like unseasoned diced potatoes in front of me.
Or like plain grits.
Yeah. Except grits are good, but like,
no.
You know, I still want to spice them up a little bit. Throw me some shrimp and some white wine gravy in there, or maybe some dark red roasted potato or tomato sauce in there.
What is white wine gravy?
White wine sauce.
Okay, I was going to say, how can you make wine thick like gravy?
Just there are people who refer to any sauce on food as a gravy. It's
Really?
not. I agree with you. It's
Really?
not. It's a
Okay.
sauce.
Gravy needs to have some thickness to it.
I feel the same way. We have finally found some common ground this
I'm
morning.
not going to put some Worcestershire gravy on whatever.
Some what?
Worcestershire.
I mean, nailed it. Honestly, nailed it.
So just as good as probably 90% of Americans.
Some Worcestershire sauce.
Daggone.
So yesterday, decided to go look through what teams are overrated inside the AP top 25. I'm going to give you one. And this you have said, I have said a number of times. Clemson's whole season comes down to what, Lonzo?
Cade.
Yep, that's it. See, I can't say the team is overrated because I think the team is perfectly rated. I think the team is perfectly rated because if Cade Klubnik is good, they're absolutely a top. Honestly, if Cade's good, they're a top 10 team. If Cade's good, they're a top 8 team in the nation this year. They are a playoff team. If Cade is not good, I think they finish somewhere in the ballpark of 20. They split the difference and put him at 14. I'm good with that.
Hey, you throw me a softball, I'm going to Aaron Judge it.
I get it. 300 home runs. We're absolutely going to talk about that coming up in a little while because he is, and this is also objectively
He's a really big dude.
Pat McAfee would call him one big son of a, and that is accurate. So we'll talk about that.
Did you see them trying to pour Gatorade or whatever on him? But he's so tall that they just basically threw it on his butt.
I was going to say, it just wet his shoes, effectively. The man's large. Overrated teams in the AP Top 25. There's a couple that I'm jumping at. One of them, to me, is Notre Dame. Is anybody here, sincerely, 844-326-3663. That's the number to the Renewal by Anderson of the Carolinas fan phones. 844-FAN-FONE. Text line 71307. Start your text with FAN, F-A-N, FAN, F-A-N, and we will read them on the air. Does anybody here, and I'm asking this genuinely and sincerely, is anybody here super high on the Notre Dame Fighting Irish this year? Lonzo, are you anywhere close to super high on the Fighting Irish?
No, I think there is a secret law that you have to rank them pretty high, though, because they do that every year, whether they deserve it or not.
Not unfair. I don't think this team's going to be bad, just so we are clear. I don't think this team is going to be bad at all. In fact, quite the opposite. I think this team can
when
be
you
good.
can basically pick and choose who you play and remain independent and do what they do, they're always going to be somewhat relevant.
I don't disagree, though I would say I think we ought give a little bit of credit to the Irish because they can pick and choose who they play, but they don't. I mean, they don't ever have like a not respectable schedule. They're playing Texas A&M this year. They're playing Louisville this year. They're coming to Atlanta to play Georgia Tech. I know I'm the only one in the building that thinks that there's any commendation deserved by that. They're playing FSU. They're playing Virginia. They're playing SC at SC this year. The California version, of course, not the Gamecocks. But I look and I go, hey, listen, there's a lot here. All right. There's a lot here. Riley Leonard, stand-up quarterback from the University of Duke University. Riley Leonard comes over. Riley Leonard did good things at Duke. But I'm not going to sit here and say that Riley Leonard was a world beater, right? And I feel like because of the fact that he got recruited by and signed with Notre Dame, this is something I do every year. It's one of the reasons that while I acknowledge that recruiting is the lifeblood of college football, that while I acknowledge recruiting is wildly important, maybe the second most important thing in college football behind fundraising, part of the reason I don't really get super deep into recruiting, especially when it comes to recruiting rankings, is because they are, as we talked about in the last hour, wildly subjective. You might look at a guy and go, oh yeah, he is the best thing since sliced bread. This is why I don't get super caught up just in reading the numbers of recruits and going goo goo gaga over them, because I don't know who the hell they're playing, right? I don't know who they're playing. Is that team out there beating up on a bunch of 2A schools, 1A schools around the state? Are they out there playing high schools that have, a majority of guys going both ways? I called high school football last year. There was a team that I called last year played a team that had 8 both-way players. 8 guys playing every single snap. So when a guy goes out there against a team that's got 8 guys that start on both sides of the football and special teams, the numbers you put up against that team as to the numbers that you put up against the team that's better than that, they're very subjective. So Riley Leonard goes out there for Duke. And by the way, Duke got Clemson at the beginning of last year, if you'll remember. I mean, popped them in the mouth in week 1. And Riley Leonard was a big part of the reason. But Riley Leonard's also a guy that's got some injuries that he's dealt with throughout his career. And the subjectivity I was talking about there is, if Riley Leonard would have left Duke and he would have ended up at, let's say, Arizona, is Riley Leonard being talked about the same way? Or is Riley Leonard being talked about this way because he ended up at Notre Dame? And Notre Dame's one of those schools that, you know, if you go here, you're in good shape. Every single year. In fact, it just happened. Every single year, there are 2 or 3 or 4 recruits that, oh, this is a 4-star guy. This is a 5-star guy. And that 4-star guy signs with Alabama, and wouldn't you know it, 24 hours later, that 4-star guy, now he's a 5-star guy. He got a star. All of a sudden, well, if he's good enough for Bama, he gets a star. Or there's a 5-star guy who decides, yeah, I want to win, but I also want to rep, you know, my dad's school, my mom's school, whatever. And that 5-star guy signs with Maryland, and all of a sudden you wake up the next day and he's just a 4-star guy. Maryland got a new 4-star guy, right? Is Riley Leonard subject to that? Is Riley Leonard a guy that is getting all of this attention that people are talking about because he's genuinely good? Or is Riley Leonard getting all of this because he signed with Notre Dame to go take over Sam Hartman's spot? I don't know the answer. I don't know the answer. Riley Leonard is a guy that in 2021 had a 60% completion percentage. Riley Leonard's a guy that in 2022 did have a 64% completion percentage and 20 touchdowns. Last year, had a 58% completion percentage, but remember, because of the injury, played 95 passes before he was done for the year. So I don't know is the answer. I don't know. And because of that, it's hard for me to look at Notre Dame, a team that did have a great recruiting class. So that we are clear, I very much like Marcus Freeman a lot. Marcus Freeman is one of those guys that feels to me, and I've not yet had the opportunity and pleasure to interview Marcus Freeman. I've not gotten to speak with Marcus Freeman. I have only covered Marcus Freeman from a distance. But Marcus Freeman strikes me as one of those coaches that, like, bro, I'm ready to suit up for. Like, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go to war for this guy. Like Marcus Freeman a lot. That being said, is there anything that Marcus Freeman has done so far that leads you to believe that the Irish are ready to make a run at their first title in 36 years? This is the deepest team Marcus Freeman's had. I would argue that this is the most talented overall team that Marcus Freeman has had so far. But is there anything that jumps off the page at you? The recruiting is excellent. But recruiting excellence doesn't win you football games. I got to see it developed. I'm looking at a team that last year had a loss to Ohio State. Granted, 3-point loss, good loss. Last year came down to Clemson. And arguably the worst team that Dabo's had since 2014. And Notre Dame lost that game 31-23. Now, it was only 2 losses. They went 10-2 in the regular season. They smoked Oregon State in the bowl game. Of course, Oregon State didn't have a lot of their guys. Neither did Notre Dame. This is why when we're looking at, well, what did this team do last year? When we're talking about the guys that are coming back, I don't care about bowl games anymore. Well, they won the Sun Bowl. I don't care. I don't care unless you can point it at a game and go, specifically, I remember that this was a well-contested bowl game because both teams went a buck at it, which doesn't happen anymore. I don't care about bowl wins. So I look at this Notre Dame team, and I see the deepest team that I've seen at Notre Dame maybe in my lifetime, to be honest with you. There's been some good teams through there. I think this team, depth chart-wise, is as good as it gets. But I'm also looking at a team, Zoe, that has 2 returning starters on offense. Their tight end and their left guard. That just lost their projected starting left tackle, who was supposed to be the heart and soul of that offensive line, down with the knee injury, out for the year. So they got worse. I look at a defense that has 3 returning starters, 4 returning starters, 3 of them on the defensive line, 1 guy returning in the defensive backfield this year. And Ben Morrison, it's good recruiting depth, but it's not a ton of returning experience. And you know what that means, especially when this team starts the season August 31st, where? On the compound, playing the Colt in College Station.
See, do you consider Notre Dame obviously they're one of the blue bloods, but the teams that they just reload. I mean, a team like Alabama every year, they just reload. Georgia now is that way. Ohio State. There are other teams like that when they lose a bunch of people, but you don't worry about them that much because they have a history of reloading in the next year, bringing about the next stars. Do you think of Notre Dame that way anymore?
Yes, but not to the extent that I think of all the teams you just mentioned, right? Brian Kelly had great classes coming through when he was there. Marcus Freeman may have assembled the best roster Notre Dame has had since, before Brady Quinn. I think that Marcus Freeman has put together a hell of a roster and should be commended for it. So I'd be willing to say I think Marcus Freeman is on his way to restoring Notre Dame to feeling that way. Like, no matter how bad the season goes, there's always going to be some dudes ready to go next year because Notre Dame's a place you want to play. They send a ton of NFLers. It's a place you want to be. I think that Marcus Freeman's got them on the way back to that reputation for sure. But again, how many coaches have we seen come through college football that were excellent recruiters and then the season started and things went sideways and vice versa? How many coaches have we seen that weren't great recruiters, but then all of a sudden, when it came time to make in-game adjustments, they were some of the most brilliant X's and O's tacticians in the game. I think Marcus Freeman, again, I don't know who Marcus Freeman is yet. Frankly, I don't think we've had enough time. Right now, I know he's an excellent recruiter. Do I trust Marcus Freeman on Saturdays yet? No. I'll tell you this. If they go down to Texas A&M and they beat the Colt in week 1, if they get Mike Elko and hand him his first L as the Aggie head man, I'll feel a lot better about it. Texas said willingness of AP voters to keep them in the top 15 and the ability to secure a number 5 spot without a conference title game will keep Notre Dame relevant. Notre Dame can lose 2. They can lose 2 and they're out. We'll see how it plays out. All right, we'll talk more college football when we come back on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
Good life.
All right, guys, one more live when we're back. Stay right there for me. Thank you very, very, very much. Yo, this kind of slaps a little bit. Don't hate this at all.
You're welcome.
This would be a good Monster Heel walkout song, right? Like, you know, when this hits, somebody about to get their wig split.
So it's your theme song.
I mean, if I got to go like generic, create a wrestler character walkout, I'd pick this for sure. It's about it. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. All right, let's talk some more college football, shall we? Went through yesterday and looked at some of the most important non-conference games of the year. I saw this called on Twitter X yesterday. I saw this called I saw this called the most important season in college football history to the sport. Read a headline that said, insert hot air full talking head's name here is ready for the most important season in college football history. And I opened it like, for whomst is this the most important season in college football history? And it was just a generic for college football. We'll start with that. Is it? And forgive me for forcing the conversation, but if this is the most important season in college football history, talking head, might I ask why? Why is it the most important season in college football history? I think it's the most dynamic season in college football history, just because the massive changes to the structure of the national championship almost demand that you call it thus, right?
But this is the most exciting college football season that we've had in, I don't know, since the 4-team playoff was instituted.
I don't think I would push back against that. I don't think I would disagree that it is the most exciting season. I wouldn't even say just in recent memory. I would maybe say of my life. It is exciting. To me, because I'm a big weirdo, what do you want? The opportunity to explore the unknown is fascinating to me. It always has been, right? I have a YouTube channel that I follow. All it is, great one, is it is a camera that is attached to the front of an unmanned submarine that they send to the bottom of the deepest parts of the ocean. And they just drive it around. It just drives around and looks at stuff. And every time they go down there, they find something. They find something weird, a creature we've never seen, an animal we've never seen, or one that we have seen but never in its natural habitat. Like, it's always something. I'm fascinated by the unknown. And college football is entering maybe the most impactful unknown, right? Like, I found the first couple of years of the portal fascinating, because with the ability for college football players to have more control over their own career and their own future, I was fascinated by that. I found the first year of NIL fascinating for the same way, because to me, one of the most cool, interesting, compelling things to learn about people is how they adapt to change, is how they figure it. This is why when some new exciting form of technology comes out, right? And everybody's like, uh-oh, doom and gloom time. AI is going to take over the world and ruin everybody. Skynet's a coming. My thought is...
Why are you looking at me when you say that?
No reason. No reason. My thought when I see and hear that is, how many other types of technology in years gone by have we heard that about? I have seen hilarious old news articles when the car became mass-produced about how the car was going to ruin American society as we know it. It was going to destroy communities as we know it. I saw there was a website I found that had compilations of all of this. I found an article about how when it came out, television was going to ruin society, about how telephones were going to ruin society. We have constantly been told every time some sort of innovation or change happens that it is going to ruin society.
I think that's a matter of opinion. I think you can look at some of those things, including TV, and say that it has, at least harmed society in some way.
I mean, in some way, but I think everything has ruined society in some way, right? But I also think a lot of these things do a lot more good than harm. The internet has changed the way, social media predominantly, has changed the way that we all interact with each other, right? Like, it has changed the way we interact. People are willing to say and do things behind the anonymity of a keyboard that they would never have the rocks to do in real life. But also, some of my best friends in the world I made through social media. And on top of that, some people I have cut out of my life that I go, yeah, I don't need that in my life anymore, got cut out because of what they said on social media, which to me is a net gain, right? So how people adapt and change is always fascinating to me. How this game is going to adapt and change, a change with the playoff that, yes, there were those out there, much like when the car became a thing and the television became a thing and social media became a thing. There have always been the doom and gloomers that say this thing is going to cause our downfall. And yet we as a species have this remarkable ability to adapt, to learn, to change, to get better within whatever the new system or the new normal is, right? We had a global pandemic 4 years ago. We had a global pandemic. And to say that life hasn't changed a little bit would be wrong. It has. But what have we done as a species? Even though we all had different ideas about how to do it, what will work and what won't, we, because we don't have a choice, all kind of came together and said, this is what we do now, and this is normal, and we're all going to learn, and we're going to be okay. College football's got a 12-team playoff. Things are going to change. Coaches are going to handle situations differently now. They're going to look at that last game of the year. If they come into the rivalry game 12 or 11-0, and they've already got a ticket punch to the conference championship game, some coaches are going to say, yeah, we're laying down this game. I don't care if we lose to the rival as long as we get a chance to play for the conference and win a playoff berth. And some coaches are going to go, to hell with that. I don't care if I lose every damn player on the roster. We're going to win the rivalry game. And the fan bases of Coach Group A are going to go, yeah, we're great with this. And the rivals, the fan base of Coach Group B are going to go, we're also okay with this. But it is going to change the way the game operates. So I don't agree that this is the most important year in the history of college football. I do agree it damn sure is the most compelling, for sure. All right, Lonzo, when I talk some Carolina Panthers when we come back. No Rashad Beard, unfortunately. He'll join us tomorrow in the next segment. Mario at 9, Fight Club at 9:20 with the X's going on at 9:40 to wrap it up. It's the Rob Brown Show. It's the Fan Upstate.
Mad World.
All right, guys, last live. Stay right there. Be right back. right, we're back, y'all. Thanks for hanging in there.
That's why when questions arise, there's Granger. Granger offers detailed technical product information online at his fingertips, so it's easy to find what he needs. Because when it comes to safety, having answers.
Now that right there looks like a pretty day, even though there's supposed to be rain, at least for now.
This is the story of the one. As a facility technician installing a new welding station, getting the ventilation.
I plan on enjoying this pretty day by going home and taking a nap.
Sounds wonderful.
Technical product information online at his fingertips, so it's easy to find what he needs. Because when it comes to safety, having answers means he.
I'm also going to do that, but then I'm going to host another 4-hour show from 3 to 7.
Granger, the ones who get it done.
Joe Hendry posted, to those who feel like they've seen my face a little too much recently, I hear you. Now here's my face.
I love this guy. Also, do you remember the clip from a few years ago where, oh God, what was the scenario? Lana and Rusev had a lawyer come out to represent them. That was Joe Hendry.
Was it really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So they showed him, and I was like, oh my God, it was. And he was doing a pod, and they're like, how did you end up in that role? And he goes, somebody came up to me. They thought it was somebody else, and they told me we need a red tie for the lawyer because we forgot to bring a tie for the lawyer. So I went out and found a red tie, and I came back, and they're like, okay, you're up. And he's like, okay. And he's like, I just went out there. He's like, some poor guy in the background was supposed to go be the lawyer, and I just took his job. I was like, all right. The Rob Brown Show on your radio. It is the Fan Upstate. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Rob the Great Malonzo and you. Let's talk some Carolina Panthers. Ordinarily, Rashad Beard joins us in this segment, but he is actually at practice today as the Panthers and the Jets have a joint practice on tap this AM. They get set for their preseason contest. That is Saturday evening at Bank of America Stadium. Rashad will join us tomorrow morning at 9:40 to break down everything that he sees at practice this morning. Can't get any fresher perspective than that.
That means we'll also get an Aaron Rodgers report.
We probably will.
You said joint practices, right?
Correct.
There we go.
I don't know how much Aaron Rodgers will participate before I assume quite a bit. It is practice.
Yeah,
but
I think they practice more than they do.
Oh, for sure.
So,
and he is, my understanding, not playing in the preseason game against Carolina. So, we'll see what his level of involvement is. But Rashad Beard will join us tomorrow at this time. So, the Great One and I, instead, will talk some Carolina Panthers here. We've talked a number of times about a key to the season, very similar to Cade Klubnik and Clemson. This season, to me, and we've said this a bunch of times, and I'll tell you why I'm setting it up again. We'll get into the conversation here in a minute. This season, to me, as much as it will pain Panthers fans, I think it is important. I think it's important. I think it is important to recognize the reality of a situation that a team is in. And this is any team. This is the Kansas City Chiefs looking for the Super Bowl three-peat. It is the New Orleans Saints who didn't do this, recognizing where they are with Dennis Allen. And it's the Carolina Panthers recognizing that this is still a rebuilding year. Okay? It is. Part of the rebuilding year is getting Bryce Young where Bryce Young needs to be. That's just it. Part of the rebuilding year is getting BY to where BY needs to be. That is, to me, the focus of the season. It doesn't mean I don't want to make the rest of the team better. I do. I would like to see a focus on finding a way to make sure that you don't have defensive backs getting hurt every time that they look at a football field. I would like to see a focus on making sure that the running game is better than it was last year. I would like to see a focus on developing the wide receiver core further than they have been developed the last couple of years. These are all things that I want to see. In fact, may even go so far as to say demand to see out of Dave Canales in year number 1. But the number one priority is your quarterback. Because if you don't get that right, none of the rest of it matters. So you got Dave Canales, a guy that built trust with quarterbacks who have slammed into a wall before they worked with him. Geno Smith and Baker Mayfield predominantly, although, again, Baker was in Carolina. That went not real good. And it is now obvious that it was not on Baker Mayfield. We'll put that to the side for just a minute. But there is an added emphasis on developing the, let's say, environment around Bryce Young. Making sure that an environment is being built in which Bryce Young can thrive, in which Bryce Young can succeed. Building that environment became obvious to me when the Panthers made the announcement on like a random Tuesday this offseason that in a day they had made moves for not one, but 2 different OGs. In this case, OG meaning offensive guard in Lewis and Woods.
Nice.
Thank you very much. I workshopped that in my own head. Sounded good to me. They went and got a pair of OGs, offensive guards. We talked a couple of days ago at Panther Fan Fest at Clemson to Anish Shroff, the voice of the Carolina Panthers. And I asked him specifically, I said, of all the offseason moves that Carolina made, there are 2 that jump off the page. The first is the acquisition of Deontay Johnson, the wide receiver out of Pittsburgh, a guy that I saw Steeler fans saying, hey, it unfortunately got to be too much of a relationship strain for him to stay with Mike Tomlin here, but hard worker, good wide receiver, good dude. Good luck in Carolina. And then the offensive guards. And Anish Shroff said the reason that they made that move is that Dave Canales was looking through quarterbacks that were successful that reminded him of Bryce Young. And it wasn't so much about teaching Bryce Young how to be like those quarterbacks, but it was more looking at the ones that were successful, looking at the ones who were not successful, drawing a Venn diagram of both, and finding out what qualities were in the middle of that Venn diagram, right? When you go look at the short king quarterbacks around the NFL from the past 10, 15, 20 years, Russell Wilson, Drew Brees, to a lesser degree, Baker Mayfield, but Baker Mayfield. When you look at the guys that, Patrick Mahomes, when you look at the guys that are considered short king quarterbacks around the NFL, and you list all of the qualities that went into the team around the bad ones, and you list all of the qualities that went around the quarterbacks that were short king QBs that were good ones, where are the qualities that you find exclusively in the good short king quarterback, and you find them in the overlap, but you do not find them in the bad short king quarterback portion of our little Venn diagram here? And how do we emulate those things? And one of the things that Anish Shroff pointed out that was in the Venn diagram that represented the good QBs, he said, building the offensive line from the middle out. With guys like Lamar Jackson, with guys like Josh Allen, you want to build your offensive line from the outside in. You want to protect the blind side. You also want to make sure that you've got edge setters on the offensive line as your priority so that when those guys end up in a tough spot, they know that the escape clause is to the outside where there's space. But when you got a short king QB, the most important thing you can do is create a situation where when they look over the center out towards the defense, they got room to throw. They got visibility down the field. Great offensive guards do that. Great offensive guards fire off the ball. They get into the gut of the defensive lineman or linebacker, and they make those hands come down, right? Great offensive guards and great centers find a way to get hands in, not on the shoulder pads, because if you put hands on shoulder pads, that defender's hands are still good to go up in the air and take a guy who goes 6'3" and make him 7'3". But when you get those hands into the gut, when you can gut punch a guy off the ball, those hands got to come down. He's got to protect himself. One of the blocking styles that my old high school coach taught us, and I'm not saying this is good, I'm just saying it's what he taught us, was when you're playing guard or center and you fire off the ball. Lonzo, tell me if you ever got told this when you were coming up. You drive that face mask into the lower body section of the defensive lineman across from you if he shows it, right?
We actually had a block where your down hand fist comes right up into that area.
Yep.
So, I mean, you know.
That is the mark of having an old school offensive lineman as your head coach, right? We got taught when we were going through blocking class.
Not saying I ever did or did not do it.
Right, just that it was said.
It was said, yes.
For sure. We got told when I was in offensive lineman class, we got told if you were in the interior offensive line and you go to throw a block and you see numbers or you see zippers, that's what you attack, right? If you see a zipper, and obviously football pants don't have zippers, it was an expression. But if you see numbers, you attack the numbers. If you see a zipper, you attack the zipper. And the reason you attack the zipper is just as a dude, if something solid and fast moving comes at that, instinctively your hands are coming down to protect yourself, right? We've all been there. We've all been in that moment where something comes hard and fast at that particular part of your anatomy and you react. Ah!
Yeah, go ahead and hit me in the skull. I'm good with that. But yeah, I mean, you know.
I see a fist coming to my head. I'm like, let me fight through it. I got to fight through this block. I got to shed this block. I see something coming at that particular part of my anatomy. I am reflexing like my freaking life depends on it because it might. And that, when I saw practice the other day, when I've seen the limited game film come out, that's what I'm seeing from the interior offensive line. That's what I'm seeing the focus is on. Not punching a dude in the junk, but making sure that you are forcing interior defensive linemen's hands to stay down. You want as much visibility on the inside as you can get. That is absolutely what the 2009 New Orleans Saints did for Drew Brees. They went and got guys like Jari Evans. They put him at the guard and center spot, and they said, attack and keep hands down so that our 6-foot-tall quarterback can see over the line. Well, you're working with a guy that's 5'9". It's even more important than that was, and I've seen the focus, and I like it. We'll talk to Rashad Beard tomorrow at this time to get his thoughts on that after joint practice today. Hayden has Mario from the BetQL Network up next. Lonzo, now.
I just want to see him play Saturday, and he probably won't. The Atlanta Braves won their third straight over the San Francisco Giants with a 13-2 victory last night. The Braves had 11 hits, including 4 home runs, one of which was a grand slam from Michael Harris in his first game back from the injury list. Atlanta is 6 games behind Philadelphia in the division and 2 up on the Mets in the wild card race. NASCAR stripped Austin Dillon's playoff berth awarded from his Cookout 400 win last Sunday after a review of Dillon's contact with Joey Logano and Denny Hamlin on the final lap. NASCAR determined the contact was intentional, justifying the penalty of the removal of the playoff berth and 25 playoff points. Audio of Dylan's spotter telling him to wreck Logano was provided and may have been the catalyst for The Decision. Tune in this afternoon from 3 to 7 p.m. for our brand new local show, Wire to Wire. Cole Bryson and Diesel get you up to date on the latest local and national sports news. Great guests, great debate, a whole lot of fun. No Diesel. All Wire to Wire.
This is several miles of slow going. 101 is stacked up around Berry Shoals Road. Highway 14 is slow going southbound from 85 to 5 Forks. From the News Talk 98.9 WORD Traffic Center, I'm Bill Brooks on the Fan Upstate.
Pain from arthritis is just awful. Bone on bone, constant pain. It robs you of so much of the stuff that you love to do. But there are effective ways to deal with that pain. And I'm not talking about drugs or surgery. Hey, it's Charlie James. Listen, there are exciting new cellular therapies that can get you lasting relief. And the place to go is QC Kinetics. QC Kinetics uses cutting-edge treatments that accelerate your own body's healing properties, revitalizing your joints so you can move again. If you're living with chronic pain from arthritis or injury, you need to know that steroids and surgery and painkillers are no longer the only option. Learn how QC Kinetics can use advanced regenerative medicine to treat the pain, enhance your joints, restore your mobility, and give you long-term relief with no downside.
Jack and Diane is playing in my head. It has no reason to be there. I wish it would go away.
Two American kids growing up in the heartland. Jackie gonna be a football star.
3772.
When you hear me, along with thousands of satisfied customers, say you can trust R&R Tire Express, you should really pay attention. Hey, this is Diesel from 93.3 The Planet and the Fan Upstate. Check the Google reviews. They have an average score of 4.7. That's higher than an iPhone. And they get those reviews by really taking care of their customers. With features like flexible payment options and their customer care package absolutely free. Believe it. Locations in Greenville, Spartanburg, and Anderson. rnrtires.com.
The dogs and cats at Greenville County Animal Care are just waiting to meet their forever family. We have free Pets for Vets program and hold free adoption events regularly. Visit greenvillepets.org to learn about adopting your new forever friend.
Bridge Nonprofit invites you to the Disability Resource Expo on August 25th at the Kroc Center. This free event connects attendees with providers, state disability agencies, valuable resources, and information. Presented by Odyssey and the South Carolina Developmental Disabilities Council.
I'm Bob Burke, founder and chairman of Burke America Parts Group, a family of brands that includes RepairClinic.com, an appliance and HVAC parts solution company that's grown into an international brand. Before AmericanEagle.com, we partially launched a new technology platform developed by another firm. American Eagle helped take our technology to a whole new level with digital marketing, software development, and business
Oh crap, gotta summarize the link.
Appliances,
Forgot.
HVAC, and outdoor power equipment, and did so both on time and on budget. AmericanEagle.com has the resources, experience, and talent needed to produce solutions. Our new technology platform developed by AmericanEagle.com has produced tremendous results with higher traffic, conversion, engagement, and online revenue. If you have any home repairs you need to take care of, check us out at RepairClinic.com. If you need a world-class website or technology project, then I would highly recommend AmericanEagle.com.
Call AmericanEagle.com at 773-NETWORK. That's AmericanEagle.com, 773-NETWORK.
WORD Spartanburg.
I don't understand Jane's email.
Check this out. Your unofficial Rob Brown lockdown. Represents me to win. Yeah. Manufactured locally for the Carolinas. This is the Rob Brown Show. Get raw. Only on the Fan
Upstate.
And off we go into the final hour of the Rob Brown radio program. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Fan Upstate. I am Rob Brown. He is Lonzo. We are collectively the cast and crew of the three-time South Carolina Broadcasters Association Sports Talk radio show of the year. And we are glad to have you all here as we move ever closer to the beginning of the regular college football season and the beginning of the NFL season. We do have a little preseason football on tonight as the New England Patriots will host the Dirty Birds of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. The Eagles head to Foxborough, Massachusetts to take on the not Tom Brady's.
Why are the Patriots getting a couple primetime games? I know it's preseason, but it's, I mean, come on. They're going to be bad.
Ready for the hot take?
Bad.
Ready for the hot take? As we are just about set to talk AFC East and NFC East, and we can start right there. The Patriots are going to be the worst team in football this year. Actually, I don't think that's a hot take. I think that's a very reasonable and reasoned take. The Patriots are going to be bad this year, the worst team in football.
Hopefully the Panthers have nothing to say about that.
I think at the end of the year, the Panthers are going to be like, whew, there, but for the grace of God, go us. At least we're not New England. Hey, to talk about the AFC East and maybe if we feel about it, the NFC East, joining us here on the show from the BetQL Network. He is the executive producer of BetMGM tonight, the former executive producer of Bet for the Cycle, which you can hear every Saturday from noon to 4 with myself and former Major League player Cody Decker on that show, and an NFL analyst for the BetQL Network. We call him Hating Ass Mario. His mom calls him Mario Heron, and you pain in the ass. Hating Ass Mario joins us here on the show. What up, big dog?
What's up? And yes, Lisa Heron, good old Mama Heron, comes into DC tomorrow morning for a little weekend with her youngest son. Yeah, so pretty excited about it.
Now, where is she going to sleep since you can't both fit in your cardboard box?
Her and my dad got a hotel like right next to my apartment. We got shopping plans, got some museums visiting, bar hopping Saturday. We got a whole system for the rents coming in.
I love it. I need you to work down your tour guide skills here, Mario, because sometime in the next let's say 3 weeks to 7 months, you're gonna have another couple of visitors coming up to Washington D.C. to hang out for a night or two.
Hey, I'll improve. I got some spots to take you guys to. I got a good Irish pub you guys would love.
I like it.
Good seafood actually for a pretty decent price. I'd say this about DC. Seafood, pretty unmatched, pretty good here. Bang for your buck. I'll say that. Let me rephrase that.
Look at him.
For your buck.
You look at what you did because you brought out the arrogant 1%er and he's going to tell you about real seafood.
Here he comes.
I promise you haven't had seafood that was swimming that morning, bud. And that's I don't care about bang for the buck. There are things I spend good money on: suits, sunglasses, shoes, and seafood.
I could go down and catch fish out of the creek by my house that was swimming this morning. That's going to make it good.
Right. You got to have both qualities. You got to have fresh swimming this morning and well cooked, well prepared. There's only limited places that can give you both. But what I do need for you to do, Hating Ass Mario, is wherever you take your future guest in Washington, D.C., make sure they got real comfortable cushions on the chairs, bud.
Okay. We can move on now. We can move on.
Yeah. All right. Just making sure. Mario Heron joining us here on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. Let's dive in. There's one of my preseason hot takes. Hating Ass Mario, at the end of the year, as much as I actually really like Gerard Mayo, and I think Gerard Mayo may have a chance of being a pretty good coach in the NFL because I do think he's one of those guys that can get players to go to war for him. They're asking him to drive the Daytona 500 in a 97 Civic. The Patriots are going to be the worst team in the NFL this year.
They have the worst roster. They just traded away their best player for a third-round pick, which I thought was pretty good on their end. Like that's at, I think he's 31, about to be 32, coming off a torn bicep. Like that's a pretty good bang for your buck on that end for the Patriots. The roster's terrible. I think it speaks volumes too that Drake. We probably won't see Drake May this year, like at all. And if I was the Patriots, I wouldn't play him either, right? Like you look at that roster, you look at their schedule too, who's in their division. Like this year, if he plays like the full season, it is year of making sure that guy's head's okay because he's going to throw picks. He's going to get hit a lot. He's going to get sacked a lot. He's not going to see a lot of good things come from this year. So why do that to his confidence? Why do that to his progressions? Like, why do that to him when you can just sit him out and go, hey, why don't you just learn under Jacoby Brissett, who's a veteran in this league, who's been around multiple different systems, who's seen it all in the NFL. Just learn right now. We don't have a receiver core for you. We barely have an O-line for you. And on the other side of the football, we have nothing else. And you have a first-year head coach. I already bet them 3-1 to have the worst record in the NFL. I would hop on that because after 2 weeks or 3 weeks, it's just only going to get shorter and shorter. This is not the Patriots of old that I grew up with. We're entering a new era of New England Patriots. That new era is going to be pretty bad for a couple years.
Yeah, I will say this. I think this team today is in worse shape than the Panthers have been in the last 2 years. Like, honestly. And then this is a team that's coming off of a 2-15 year. But I look up and down the schedule. I look up and down the roster. You're in a tougher division. I think there is less talent on the roster, especially now with Matthew Judon going to Atlanta. Great pickup by the Falcons, by the way. We can talk about that later. I think this team has a worse roster. You're talking about a rookie head coach. And again, I like Gerard Mayo. I think he's got potential, but it is his rookie year. You're looking at year 2 being just as difficult with a guy going through year number 2. I think the Patriots this year are in a worse position than the Panthers were at the end of last year, despite being 2-15 with an interim head coach. That's how bad I think this team is right now.
I wouldn't disagree with that, especially at that point last year. They did. I mean, they had Burns, the Panthers did, so you still did have your pass rusher, but you did trade him away, and you got a lot in return. Like, I would say the Panthers kind of traded him at the right time because of everything they got back, where I think, if we're just being completely honest, the Pats kind of traded Judon at the wrong time. And, I know we still have question marks about Bryce Young, but I think there's glimpses, right, of something that you saw. We really don't know what Drake May is. Like, he played, 3 snaps in his first preseason game. I get the way that they're trying to slowly introduce him into the system into the NFL, but we really don't know what we're going to get out of him. And of all the top QB prospects in this past draft, I think out of all of them, Drake May was like the one that's kind of had the bad juju around. And like UNC quarterbacks love the Tar Heels. Great day to always be a Tar Heel, but they haven't really panned out. They haven't really been great in the NFL. So I do kind of agree with that statement. But Boston, you've had enough happiness. It's time that you come down to hell with the rest of us.
Yeah, I'm not mad about that. Sticking in that division, let's go over to Buffalo. Keon Coleman comes over from Florida State. Love this kid as a person. I think he's one of the funniest people I've ever seen in the football world. No idea what he's going to be as a wide receiver. Not going to be Stephon Diggs in his rookie year as a wide receiver. I love Josh Allen. He's my favorite quarterback to watch play. I'm a huge fan, but this team took a step back this year.
They're not going to make it to the playoffs. I don't think there's just no chance. Yeah. I'm not buying that at all. Like, I don't buy the Bills. You lost Tre'Davious White. You lost Gabriel Davis, Diggs, Poyer, and their starting center, Mitch Morse, who Poyer and Morris were like huge voices in the locker room. Like, I remember talking to I believe a Bills insider 2 months ago, and he was saying how much the locker room's changed with those guys not in it. And then on top of that, you take away Josh Allen's 2 best weapons. And then, oh, by the way, the Jets are going to be fully healthy this year. And then you have the Dolphins, who has one of the best passing offenses in the NFL. And you're going to tell me you're going to win that division? You're going to tell me you're going to make it out of there and make it into the playoffs? Josh Allen's fantastic. He's awesome. But you're giving his number 1 receiver is what? Going to be Keon Coleman or Dalton Kincaid? Like, that's what we're going to do here? I don't buy it. And I'm old enough to remember when Sean McDermott lost the locker room last year. Are we just going to forget that? And then they barely make it squeak by into the playoffs. Are we going to buy all back into that?
No,
wait.
He's making great points here.
No, I agree. So that we're clear.
It's not a hot take.
No.
Yeah.
I agree with everything he's saying. I disagree with the expression, I'm old enough to remember something that happened 6 months ago.
I feel like people forgot about it. Like, have people not forgotten about that? Like, everyone's just riding high on the Bills. They put them as the leading team to win the freaking division. I'm like, do you not remember the crap storm that was going on just a year ago? We're just going to throw that away.
By the way, I forgot, and I want to thank Mario for reminding me because.
Well, you're not old enough to remember, Lonzo.
Well, I am old enough to forget for sure. But so in football years, one season feels like 10 years, and you can forget a lot of stuff because so many things have happened since then and now. And so you definitely could forget about that.
I agree with what you're saying. In fact, I went so far as to say at the end of last season, no idea why McDermott was staying on as a coach, right? And I'm at the point now where, and I'm saying this, I don't know if I'm saying this more because I am a Josh Allen fan or more because I'm a dude who knows ball. Josh Allen is going to join the club of quarterbacks that after they retire, we go, we wasted that guy. That guy should have been a talent we talk about for a long time. And he got the prime of his career wasted by a Buffalo team that just every year craps the bed around him. And it's going to be worse this year than it was last year.
Well, I'm also think too, like, I think this is going to be the year we see him run the most, just because he's going to have times where he drops back. The line's not going to have a good block and his receivers aren't going to be open. Like that's legitimately going to happen. What? Keon Coleman's going to beat Sauce Gardner every single time? No, he's not. Like, that's just not going to happen. He's going to scramble around. He's going to have to run a lot more. And when he runs a lot more, what is Josh Allen known to do? Not slide, not go out of bounds. He likes to hit. He's going to take the contact. Who's to say that when he's running for, over 70 yards per game and on fantasy, like, this is awesome, he doesn't get hurt during that? Like, I don't wish that upon him. I don't want that to happen to him because I love Josh Allen and I wouldn't want that for anyone. But that's like a realistic thing that could happen because this offense is not anything compared to what it used to be. But the same expectations we have for him, that just doesn't make any sense to me. Like, how have we not lowered everything? So it's the Jets' division to lose. And I feel insane to even say that, but like talent-wise, I just don't understand how you look at this division and you go, yeah, I take the Bills or the Dolphins over the Jets. Aaron Rodgers on a revenge tour. I grew up a Bears fan, man. I've been on this train before. I've been hurt. I've cried. I felt like I got my heart ripped out, and it's all because of one man, and that's Aaron Rodgers.
I thought you were going to say Cody Decker. Mario Herron from the BetQL Network joining us here on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. All right, one more team in that division, then we'll very quickly sprint through your thoughts on the NFC East, and that's the Miami Dolphins. This is a football team that last year obviously had one of, if not the best offenses in the regular season. Then they had to go to Kansas City, where it was so cold that people's toes and fingers were falling off, which is dumb, and I hate it. Dome every stadium. We'll fight about that later. Does that team turn a corner? Tua Tagovailoa gets his contract. That distraction is now behind them. Tyreek Hill is out here saying he can run faster than Noah Lyles, which is hilarious. Maybe we'll find out one day. Yada, yada, yada. Are the Dolphins ready after their playoff collapse last year?
No, because as soon as the season gets into late October, November, December, I don't trust that team in any type of cold environment. If it's not a dome, if it's not Miami, I don't trust that team at all. I don't trust that defense. They're a fun team to bet early in the season. I highly recommend that everyone bets in them, believes in them. And then as soon as it gets under 40 degrees, everyone take your money and put it somewhere else. I just fail to believe that this team is going to be anything special. And look, like if you look at just their last 4 games, right? And that could be in these last 4 games, that could be the difference in them making the playoffs and not making the playoffs. Like how close the wild card is. This is who they play. They're at the Texans. That could be a tough one. Dome, but you're going to face one of the most talented rosters in the NFL. All right. Then you go at home against the Niners. Okay. You got Kyle Shanahan. That's not going to be fun. And then you're going to go in Cleveland. That's going to be 20 degrees facing one of the toughest defenses in the NFL with Myles Garrett smiling at you the whole game. All right. And then to finish the season, you're at Jets. Who's to say that's not for like the division title or the Jets to steal it or it's the Jets get the 1 seed or Jets also need to win on the wild card. That's a very tough last 4. And that's to sit here and tell me they're going to go 2-2 or 3-1 or 4-0 during that span. You're going to have to really, really convince me. But I just don't buy that at all. So the late season stuff for the Dolphins is why I am out.
All right, we may have to push the NFC East because obviously we can't talk AFC East. I believe it is against some sort of media rules, some sort of law out there that you have to talk about the Jets. So I'll make this one easy. The Jets, go.
4th easiest schedule in the NFL, and they're going to be fully healthy, and Aaron Rodgers on a revenge tour. That all just goes, all right, that's pretty scary. Mike Williams healthy. He's a pretty good deep threat, and he could be pretty viable to that offense. This is their, I don't want to say last dance because he's been there for barely 2 years, but it's like their only shot. Hassan Reddick, you can keep playing. He's going to play. He's going to play. He's going to be in a Jets uniform. It's their one shot. I think everyone in that building knows that. And for that reason, I think they actually come out firing. When Jets are underhyped, they perform. When they're overhyped, they underperform. And I think right now they're kind of underhyped.
Dallas Cowboys, obviously, the JJ CeeDee Lamb story is freaking hilarious because Jerry Jones just can't not put his own foot in his mouth over and over about this cat. Dak Prescott, obviously, I'm going to bet him for everything in the regular season and then the inevitable collapse in the postseason. At some point, there's got to be a year that the Dallas Cowboys finish ... or is there?
Not this year. You have when every star player on your roster is in a contract negotiation and it's not going well. To me, that's a red flag. And then on top of that, you have a head coach who's also entering a contract negotiation. Is not really doing well. His seat he sits on lava every single day. Mike McCarthy does. And they have the 10th hardest schedule in the NFL to go all on top of that. And the media circus in Dallas is not going to slow down. It's only going to get more and more hyped up throughout the year because Jerry Jones wants that. He wants the attention. He wants the media in there creating stories. He thinks that's good for business. I think it's going to be bad for business in the end for the Cowboys. I think they're going to have a really disappointing year. Like, I think in that division, and maybe we can talk about this more next week because I know we're low on time, but I think Commanders finished second in that division. Cowboys go third. I think it's going to be a really, really tough year for him.
Jaden Daniels is winning Rookie of the Year.
He looks really, really good. Insanely good. And by the way, I mean, even being around here, like everyone like comes back from camp smiling. Peter Schwarger, I believe, on NFL Network was like, the things I'm hearing about him are insane. So things are great. And Scary Terry, Indiana boy. Shout out to him. He's going to catch a lot of touchdowns this year.
Big Sirs guy.
Sir, that's a common theme. Very common. If anyone listening from Indiana, they know Sirs.
Not according to every host of BetMGM tonight. It's not.
Okay, not from Indiana. What? No, Horvey knew. And he's Midwest.
Okay. Jaden Daniels wins Rookie of the Year. That's that is my hot take future that I'm taking out right now. Philadelphia, real quick. Jalen Hurts, is he or is he not a dude? Because I got to tell you, I don't think he is. I think at the end of this year, Hurts is downgraded to like the third tier of quarterbacks, and Nick Sirianni's out of a job.
So it's tough, right? I'm a big Kellen Moore guy. I think he got handcuffed in LA with Brandon Staley because Brandon Staley's an idiot. I think Jalen Hurts finds his groove again this year. I really, really do. He has two receivers that are both paid and they're both happy. He has a very good tight end in Dallas Goedert. I think this team's going to be pretty special, actually. I know they had a lot of drama last year, and you're even seeing now where him and Sirianni weren't really on the same page. I think they're going to be a little bit better than that. Like, I think the bad energy's out. It's a fresh start, and I'm actually a believer in Jalen Hurts. This is also, Rob, coming to I've heard Nick Ashew and Ryan Horvat spill to me over and over again how much they believe in the Eagles. So I don't know if I'm just getting the Eagles bite from them and it's entering into my system. I believe in the Eagles as well. So I don't know if it's that or if it's I'm actually onto something. So I'll let you know.
He is Hayden Ass Mario, a.k.a. Mario Heron from the BetQL Network, the executive producer of BetMGM Tonight. You can hear them every single weekday night from 7 until 11 p.m. Appreciate you, big dog. Talk to you soon.
Appreciate you. Lonzo, looking good.
Okay. All right, everybody. Everybody good?
You
got it all out of
you? No, I want to see his trophy for the award.
Make sure that bar's got real comfortable couch cushions, pal. Back after this with Fight Club on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. Well done, Mario. It's almost like I taught you some stuff.
Thank you. Can you send me this audio and
Yeah.
whatever
Yeah.
the other two
Yeah,
are?
I am. I'm doing You Better again today, but I should have time to be able to pull it before I jump on the air.
Are you on with PJ or Pat today?
I think I'm on with Pat today and tomorrow, and then next week I'm on all 5 days next week.
Oh yeah,
with
yeah, they're out
with Pat and Sean. No, not Sean.
There's no way it's Sean because they're trying
No.
to make sure Sean doesn't come back on.
Forgot who the other one is.
Oh really?
The other fill-in guy.
Is it Peach?
No, Peach is on
Corey?
vacation. That's why I'm doing it all 5 days next week.
Oh,
Hang on, I can tell you. Jeremy Kahn.
Oh, Khan's awesome.
Yeah, Khan's great. I love Khan. He's great.
Yeah. I'm close with Khan. I love the guy.
Yeah, he's a good dude. So I'm on with I think it's me and Patty B today, tomorrow, Monday, and Tuesday, and I think Khan Wednesday, Thursday, Friday next week.
Oh, that'd be a blast.
Yeah, week 0 college football. Don't call me. I'm sleeping all day. Don't call me.
That's next week. No, 2 weeks.
It's 2 weeks. Not this weekend, but next.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fucking beautiful.
All right, big dog. Appreciate you.
All right. I'll see
you,
you,
buddy.
Have a good one.
I told Courtney that, and she goes, "You know, you are allowed to say no to things."
That's what I was thinking. Yeah, I mean,
It's all good. Get that cheddar, baby.
I was gonna say it's about the money. I
Get that
I
cheddar,
that.
baby.
And also about
Daddy wants an Xbox.
Also about recognition, fame, all that kind of stuff. I get it.
And also money.
Yeah, and also money.
Give me that Xbox.
We'll see money and getting to be on a national show. Yeah, I mean,
We specialize in helping mid-sized B2C companies with teams of over 100 thrive. Scale Marketing is a full-service agency offering expertise in performance marketing across traditional and digital platforms, creative production, and data analytics. We treat your money like it's our own, ensuring every dollar is spent with purpose and every decision is driven by data. Our knowledgeable team stays ahead of the trends, crafting strategies that align with your business goals. Partnering with Scale Marketing means gaining a dedicated strategist and a team committed to your success. If you're ready to lead the market, visit scalemarketing.com today. That's scalemarketing.com.
Do you feel like it's almost impossible to lose weight on your own? Hi, this is Dr. Elliot Hirschhorn with New Life Weight Loss, and we know the secret to losing weight and keeping it off long-term without drugs or surgery. At New Life Weight Loss, many patients lose 20 to 30 pounds in about a month or two with our support staff and accountability. And we do that without prepackaged meals, no exercising, no drugs, or surgery. Go to mynewlifeweightloss.com now.
Hey, it's Rob Brown. Listen, I wanted to drop some LBs before I get married at the end of September. I knew New Life was going to work. I had no idea. 43 pounds, 10 inches down. I look good in a suit. Call them before the end of August, and New Life Weight Loss will give you $250 off.
To learn about our program, go to mynewlifeweightloss.com and schedule your free consultation. Our expert team will discuss your health goals, help determine the root causes of your weight issues, and put you on a path to success. Call 864-719-2550. That's 864-719-2550 or mynewlifeweightloss.com. That's mynewlifeweightloss.com.
After you use Bounce Dryer sheets and realize how fresh, soft, less wrinkled, and less staticky your laundry can be, you'll notice it every time. Like those socks that smell like they've been through a marathon. Or that blanket that's got wrinkles.
Dude, what is it? What are they saying?
Maybe even your
Put a what on it?
Sheet.
Okay.
A dryer sheet.
Okay. Because all right.
sheets can't do it all. But for fresher, softer, better laundry,
If you say so. It didn't sound like sheep to me. I don't know what it sounded like, but I don't know. It's weird.
Smart speaker. Just say play 97 The Fan Upstate on your HD radio at WFBC HD3. There's just one more thing. And on your computer at The Fan.
Upstate.com.
I just don't think he's gonna be.
Welcome into the Fight Club, the segment that gets shorter and shorter every week, which is why I have to throw haymakers right away. If you had to choose between the money in AEW and the fame in WWE, which one would you choose, Rob Brown? That is your name, right? Rob Brown?
Last I checked.
Yeah,
I
okay.
believe that is what it says on the birth certificate. God, that's a great question. I feel like I'm going with the fame because the fame creates money for a very long time. When you're done making money as a wrestler, if you're not famous, you're done making money as a wrestler. But if you're famous as a wrestler, then you become an actor, you become a politician, you become any number of other lucrative jobs, or many of them. I think I got to go with the fame.
You know what? I think I do too. And I really, that is legitimately what it comes down to when picking AEW or WWE. I know there's some other things like being able to have a little more creative control in AEW. And even though the crowds aren't as big in AEW as they are in WWE, they're still bigger than probably most wrestlers. I mean, we've even have had former champions talk about how, they wrestled in front of hardly anybody, and then they got to different places, and it was what a difference that was. So you're going to get a lot of money up front, but also in WWE, you're definitely going to get the fame. And AEW might catch them someday. They might. It could be a possibility, but right now, with as big as WWE is, that's the way to go. Braun Breaker throwing Sammy over the rail was brutal. Is this the direction Raw will be heading into when they get to Netflix?
Oh yeah, you're already kind of getting the vibes, right? You're getting a few more four-letter words here and there. You're getting a couple more middle fingers here and there. Like, you're starting to get the vibe. Now, I don't think it's going to go like full rated R. I don't think it's going to go full IRS is coming back or the censorship is coming back because they got a problem with it. But yeah, I think they're going to pick up the intensity a little bit. And who the hell else better to do it than Braun Breaker? That was awesome.
Well, it was awesome for everybody except for Sami
Zayn.
Zayn, because that looked like that really hurt.
What if Samantha Irvin forgot to move? She'd be dead today.
Probably, and that would be a loss for all of us. I'm concerned, and I'm sure it's about, as we talked about a few seconds ago, it's about making money. So really, I think they got to look, will it hurt their bottom line if they go too far, and how they know what the line is.
Yeah, and I think that's the question, right? How do you determine where the point is that it goes from, we don't mind a little bit more edge, but I would also point out that for many, not all, but for many of us, the golden era of wrestling was the Attitude Era. And we are not even bumping up against the fringes of some of the stuff that happened during the Attitude Era. So I think you're going to get it is going to become a little bit more real life, if you will. And I think there's a good reason for that, which is the only place that AEW has survived has been for dudes like me that go, if I'm about to punch a guy in the face, I'm absolutely going to call him up before I do it. And so WWE is going to let you just toy with that.
All right. The Attitude Era was brought on because of competition, though. They had to go that way because,
Same thing.
Yeah. Is it?
Same thing. Yes. Because the folks who have gone to AEW and stayed over there and have departed WWE did it because while their stories aren't always the best over there, it does feel like when they have a rivalry, it does feel a little bit more real, the way that real adults who really fight really talk in situations like that. So I really think that is the play. So WWE's like, let's give them just enough that it makes them go, I'll come back for this, right? He just called him whatever. I'll come back to check that out, but not far enough that Lonzo goes, I'm not letting my kids watch anymore. Well, not your kids, but you get it.
Yeah, grandkid, possibly. All right. We're seeing the making of a monster right now from the bottom up. No, talking about Bronson Reed. Can he rise above the mid card? Is he destined to stay basically where he is?
So I'm glad you asked that question that way. I have this thing, and this has been a wrestling take I've had for a long time. There is nothing wrong with being a career mid carder. There are a lot of guys who made a whole good. Dolph Ziggler made a career out of it. There's nothing wrong with it if you are like the final boss of the mid card, right? If you want to go from mid card to highlighter, you got to get by this guy and you got to put on a good show with this guy. And I think Bronson Reed can fill that role because I'll tell you, as good as he is, he doesn't strike me as a guy that's like carrying the heavyweight championship for a while. He's a guy that I can throw the American title on. I can throw the U.S. championship. I can throw the Intercontinental on him here and there and let him kind of be the final boss that somebody beats to get that belt and graduate up. But if he does like stuff he did to Seth the other day and that becomes a routine for Seth Bronson, as long as it doesn't get like it's just the same thing week after week.
You're not caught up.
Yeah, no, I haven't finished right.
He did it to Miz, and he did it to a friend of the show, R-Truth, multiple times.
I did see the R-Truth. I saw one of the R-Truth ones.
Yeah.
Again,
where Adam is coming out and pointing to him, telling him to get down. So he goes to the other side of the ring and does it from that side of the ring.
Well, he listened to instructions.
Yeah, well, yeah, that is true. I don't know. I can't decide on this. I think he has the personality to possibly carry it for a little bit, and maybe even a transitional champion. They put it on for just a little bit till they get to someone who's going to hold it for a while. But I like what they're doing with them, and hopefully they continue and it doesn't fizzle out.
I do too. I think he can be that guy where every time somebody's like right there on the edge of becoming the next guy that goes up, you can send Bronson out with the, I've been fighting to get my opportunity and I haven't gotten it, and now you got it, and now I'm going to frog splash you 50 times. And that's a legitimate threat.
So he's basically Drew McIntyre, but he's just a lot bigger.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay. All right. Rhea Ripley, Liv Morgan feud. This is leave the rest of the Raw women, make them irrelevant.
I mean,
can you name the other women on the Raw roster?
No. And on top of that, I would say,
whereas SmackDown has a bunch.
Correct. But I would also say, even without it being malicious, hasn't it kind of been that way for a while now anyways? Like, Rhea Ripley was running a combined faction program with Judgment Day, but also this thing on the side. Liv Morgan, same thing, just feuding with Judgment Day and running her thing on the side as the champ. It's been this way for a while. And I will say, I do think it is a failure of Raw, but Liv Morgan is the #1 merch seller in WWE on the women's side right now, and she just barely replaced Rhea Ripley. At the end of the day, there's other stories that are happening, and everybody's dialed in on this one. Like, on one hand, push the other gals, give us more women's storylines that are good and compelling, but on the flip side, I can't ask them to stop dialing in on this one.
Need more Chelsea. We absolutely do.
I do not disagree with that.
All right. The SmackDown need Roman Reigns as champ.
Wait a minute. Also, it's Tiffy time.
Is it?
Yeah.
But she's on SmackDown. Anyway, so
is Chelsea.
I thought Chelsea was.
Well, they had a segment the other day with each other.
I thought he was.
Because Tiffy asked her to her face, "Don't you have a ladder to fall off of?"
Okay, you're probably right. I messed up. So did you. We do that sometimes. Does SmackDown need Roman Reigns as champ?
No, they don't. I'll tell you what they need. They need a compelling redemption story for Roman, and this story works because Roman gets to be the guy going through his redemption story, but still a dude who comes out and punches people in the face more than he talks. And you've set him up with a wonderful foil. Can we give Solo Sikoa some flowers right now? Because for a dude that a number of months ago we're like, oh, I don't know if he can carry it, he's playing the perfect target for Roman and doing to Roman what Roman did to so many other people. He comes out, he tries to get to Solo throw a bunch of cannon fodder and other Samoans at him while he runs away and acts like a chicken bleep. And it is the perfect foil for Roman, who now has to go through everything that he put everybody else through for 3 years. For a guy that went, I think even I, lover of Roman Reigns, Pensacola boys, shout out 850. Even as a Roman Reigns guy, I thought the bloodline angle was I'm like, okay, do we need to do it again? But now that I really think about it, it actually works great.
We'll see what happens. I think he should have been beat down more when he came out there. Because you built up the new bloodline as being, the baddest people in the WWE, and then Roman Reigns was able to.
That is fair. He did win 3v1.
Yeah,
that's fair.
You can't do that because it hurt that faction. Finally, it's being reported that Vince McMahon's health is failing fast, and it's just rumors. Inevitably he's going to die because we all do. Everyone dies. That's just we do. Do they put a package together? With all the controversy, do they still put a package together?
I don't think you can. I think you can do like a brief acknowledgement, right? Like if he
do
goes,
you bring everyone out on stage? Do you do that whole thing?
Yeah, and it kind of feels like that, like he's in that Bear Bryant scenario of like that's all he lived for so long that when he doesn't have it anymore, he just doesn't know how to literally live.
Joe Paterno.
Paterno, same situation.
He ended his career, which was celebrated with one of the worst kinds of controversy you can have. And so when he passed, there was not a lot.
Yeah. And I think you got to go the same direction. I mean, this man, I'm not going to say he almost killed the company because at the end of the day, it's the largest wrestling company on planet Earth. It was always.
And he made it that way, or at least helped make it that way.
Oh, for sure. And I can't push back against that. At the same time, the stuff that he did and did it as long as he did it for, I'm sorry to say, is unforgivable. It just is. It just is. And it's unforgivable to the point that if I tune in and I see that, I will take a break if you celebrate that. It's one of those situations where I understand the concept of separating the art from the artist, but this wasn't Vince McMahon, the artist. This was the guy who had a foot in both worlds. I don't think you can celebrate what he did in any way, shape, or form. I think you put a picture up on the screen, RIP, and then you go on with the show. That's gotta be how you handle it, right? I don't think you can do it any other way.
I don't know if that's what they'll do. I guess we'll find out.
Yeah. I don't know. I would feel gross. That's just me. Back after this to wrap it up. The Rob Brown Show, the Fan Upstate.
Big 13-2 win for the Braves at San Francisco on Wednesday. Atlanta took a 5-1 lead out of the first. Michael Harris hit a grand slam in his first at-bat since returning from an injury. He's been out for 2 months. Matt Olson, Austin Riley, and Sean Murphy also went deep for Atlanta in their third consecutive win over San Francisco. Grant Holmes had 6 strikeouts over 7 innings for his first career win.
I know you say that, James, but I'm just picturing Shane trying to go through that glass, and it was the wrong glass, and landing on his head. And when he finally went through the glass, going, please do not.
He threw him like 3 times.
Please don't do that again. And they did. It was no.
Presenting a Game Flings love story. Dear Lover Blamer, we were on the 12B bus this morning when I caught a whiff. A scent so fresh, so life-changing, I had to find its source. Alas, I didn't know if you were the woman in the pink freshly washed cardigan or the retired mailman next to me, but I knew one of you was my soulmate. Ah, the scent of Game Flings. Try Game Flings with Oxygen and Febreze.
This is the story of the one. As a warehouse manager, her job is to transform chaos into clarity and to see patterns where others see problems. Luckily, she's got a partner who shares her perspective. Grainger offers over 1 million industrial-grade products, backed by real person support and in-depth online resources, so she can tackle every task with precision and turn potential setbacks into streamlined success. Call clickgrainger.com or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Wire to Wire with Diesel and Cole Bryson. Turn on, leave on.
If you do not know, if you have not heard, this is the 5 o'clock fight. Diesel and I have to disagree on 3 topics. I like this one. You put this one on the rundown, and I cannot wait to tell you you're wrong. Gas station food. Eat it or leave it. Leave it all behind. I don't eat that stuff. It's not good food. Jeez, I don't care.
Yes, very sad. Anyway.
It's sitting there for hours. It always gives you the bubble guts right after you eat it. I try to stay away from it as much
Yes,
as I can.
all of those gifts appropriate.
Diesel, but you are wrong. I am not above eating gas station food. Some days it just hits different, man.
Tune in every day at 5 o'clock to see what Diesel and Cole argue about next.
Wire to Wire with Diesel and Cole Bryson.
Turn on, leave on. Afternoons 3 to 7 on the Fan Upstate. From the Ingalls Market Studio, the Fan. The Fan.
Upstate. 97.7 FM Greenville. 97.1 FM Spartanburg.
Live from the Free Agency. Now, the Infinity Sports Network. Rise and shine, sports fans. Grab your coffee and
Mauricio Pochettino is the new head coach of the United States men's national football team. We talked a little bit about it yesterday because he very rapidly became the number one candidate for the job. And listen, I'm good with it. Would I have liked a Klopp? Would I have liked a Guardiola? Yes, of course. You want the best name in the game. But I also said yesterday on the show, this is kind of a reality check for those of us that are fans of United States of America's men's national soccer team. The gut check is that despite the fact that we are auto-qualified for the 2026 World Cup, despite the fact that we are hosting the the Men's World Cup, the reality is we're still a very tough job, okay? The talent, arguably, the talent is as good as it's ever been for this team, okay? And the good news here is Mauricio is a guy who is known for developing young talent. And he has done so for some of the biggest clubs in the world. Paris Saint-Germain, Tottenham Hotspur. One season at Chelsea did not necessarily go the way that they'd hoped it would at Stamford Bridge, but he did, I would argue, increase the quality of play. I would also argue that Mauricio is not a gigantic step down, or at least not as big of a step down as this team could have been forced into taking. Pochettino says no to this team, and you are looking at, once again, going down to, I'm sorry to say, I hope that this changes one day sometime in my lifetime, but taking a step down and going to get another MLS manager who is out of his depth to some degree. I hope one day, if only for the U.S. men's national team, I hope one day that the MLS is eventually recognized as one of the world's top leagues, as opposed to a spot that old international players come to give themselves a farewell tour, right? I love Leo Messi, but he's in his farewell tour. Zlatan Ibrahimovic. I don't know why he's one of my favorite players of all time. He's the type of dude I hate in real life, but Zlatan Ibrahimovic, the dude, cracks me the hell up. Glad to see him. David Beckham, same story. It has been a parade of great all-time international players, but they come here for the last couple of years of their career for a little farewell tour, one more paycheck before they ride off into the metaphorical sunset, right? I hope that changes one day, so that one day some of the better players on planet Earth come here, and therefore some of the better managers on planet Earth are here, and therefore as U.S. soccer turns over its managerial position every handful of years, the pool of top-notch candidates is here, is American, is brought up through a system that develops great coaches, but we're just not there yet. And so to be able to get a name that has international recognition, that, yes, is on the second tier of international coaches, guys, for the U.S. Soccer Federation, that's a coup. That's a get. This is the equivalent, to put it into college football terms, so that for those of you that don't watch footy but are maybe just kind of starting to get intrigued because, hey, Rob Brown talks about it quite a bit. And that guy makes it sound awesome. Like Lonzo, big, like we're getting him into being a big soccer guy. We're almost there. All right. For a guy like Alonzo,
nope.
To put that into college football terms, this is like a Kentucky. Are they a bad team? No. It's like Mizzou. Are they a bad team? No. But are they a good team? Also, no. They're kind of in that no man's land where they're not a team that's missing out on bowl games. They're going bowling way more often than they're not. But you're not quite ready to name them a conference championship threat, you know? You're not. And so when a name like Kalen DeBoer comes available, You don't connect the name Kalen DeBoer to Missouri. You don't connect them to Kansas. You connect them to Alabama. You connect them to Ohio State. When Dan Lanning becomes available, you're not sending that guy to replace Sam Pittman at Arkansas. He's going to get Ryan Day's job when Lonzo fires him in Ohio. We are in that Kentucky, Arkansas, Kansas State, like, could be good, right? But what you're hoping for is you're hoping for somebody to come in and do for Team US Soccer what Kalen DeBoer just did for Washington. To suddenly elevate them to a point that you go, whoa, where the hell they come from? Oh, they're good now. And then to stick around for a little while. To stay around for a little while. Not to come here, do it for a flash in the pan year, and then Spain calls, or Germany calls, or Italy calls, or England calls, and they immediately run to that spot. But here's what I'll give U.S. Soccer credit for. A federation that I have macho man elbow dropped verbally many, many times. I thought they got themselves into a little bit of trouble because when Greg was let go and the coaching search began, Matt Crocker, who was in charge of it, promised Team US Soccer fans a big name. Promised them a big name. I don't know what other big names were going to be available. Initially, there were a lot of folks that said Jurgen Klopp might be in the mix. And Klopp, the big old troll that he is, on the 4th of July, put up a tweet with a bunch of pictures of him in U.S. football stadiums wearing U.S. football jerseys and sweaters and whatnot. And then he was like, yeah, no, I told y'all I'm retired. I'm good. I'm out. I ain't doing it. And I went, uh-oh. I think he got in trouble here, did Matt Crocker, because he promised us a big name, and there goes the big name. He just said, I'm out. That job ain't for me. And if it ain't him, who in the hell's it gonna be? And then Mauricio burst onto the scene as the number one candidate. And then Mauricio gets the job. Well, here's the thing. I'll give you one more. Mauricio Pochettino is a dude that has managed egos well. And that is something that I think needs to be a primary consideration for Team USA. Because while you do have the most talented group of guys we've ever had pull on the kit featuring the stars and the stripes, you also got guys like Christian Pulisic. Now, Pulisic doesn't seem to have a big ego to me. Doesn't say, could have a bigger ego, I guess might be the way to put it. But he is a dude who is being celebrated across Europe. If he gets into a spot where he feels like, I'm the man now, dog, and you got to handle that, Mauricio's a dude that can do that. Gio Reyna. Gio Reyna is a dude who I have argued many times might be the most creative ball handler in the attacking third on this squad. But you also saw the issues when Mauricio didn't get PT in the last World Cup and his parents decided that they were going to try to blow this up. I need a Mauricio Pochettino to be able to handle that. And I need a guy who can attract those dual internationals, those guys we have a shot for, but they can also play for Mexico or Germany, Italy, Spain. They can now look and go, wait a minute. If I go play for the Americans, I get a Premier League caliber manager and I get to represent a country that I got a foot in. That's good. I got to tell you, U.S. soccer fans, you got to recognize you were never in the hunt for the biggest 2 or 3 names, but the fact that you were able to pull the 4th or 5th biggest name is a coup, and all the things he is best at are, to me, the things that this side needs moving forward. I love the hire.
And now, the Rob Brown Show presents Twitter.
Lonzo couldn't wait to push that trigger.
Rob Brown Show, seal of approval, or at least that part. All right, the first thing that is Xing is SSN.
I don't hand out the seal of approval very often. All right, it's earned. SSN.
Social Security numbers.
Have we had a hack?
You haven't seen?
No, I've not.
Potentially every Social Security number has been hacked.
Y'all can have mine. You steal mine, you going into debt, Jack. Good luck. Good luck. Wish you the best.
What if they pay your bills? What if they steal your number? They steal your identity and pay all your bills.
I mean, I feel like anybody stealing SSNs is not stealing it to do the world a favor.
No,
you know what I mean?
Probably not.
Not a great look, Bob.
No, it's kind of scary, actually. All right, the next thing that's Xing is Samantha Irving.
Do you believe in 2024 we can be off the grid? Do you believe being off the grid is even a possibility? I don't think it's possible
If
anymore.
you live in like a desert.
See, I don't even think so. I mean, at this point, there's satellites flying around the world. You can look at Google Maps. Like you can't build anything anywhere that isn't visible immediately. Can't do it. All right. What is? Sorry, Samantha Irving.
Samantha Irving.
Ooh. Should I not?
Yeah. Well, if you do, that's why. So,
okay. It's because she's hot and she knows it.
Ricochet and Buddy Murphy both had some fun pictures put up.
I got it.
Okay.
Because Buddy Murphy not too long ago took a picture of himself with his head resting on Rhea's Ripley.
Ricochet has done the same thing. So, yes. And that is
had to do my best Buddy Murphy impression.
Yeah. So
the boys just out here living the dream.
They are. All right. The next thing that's Xing is the Ohio State University.
The Ohio State University is trending because there's a bunch of lunatic renegade horse chestnut fans clamoring for Ryan Day's job.
No, that's not why they're trending.
Oh, okay.
There's another thing out there talking about the top 10 teams that have been ranked in the preseason poll, and Ohio State leads it with 36 straight seasons of being ranked in the preseason poll, followed by Oklahoma at 25, Georgia at 23, Alabama at 17, and Clemson at 13.
And if we are keeping it a buck, this is why, if Ryan Day doesn't get it done this year, or at least threaten in the playoffs, this is why, not losses to Michigan, this is why you would eventually look at moving on.
Well, when you're ranked that high every single year, there are expectations, and the expectations are at least win the Big Ten title, which they haven't done thanks to Michigan.
At some point, the expression "always the bridesmaid, never the bride" gets to be just too much to handle.
And finally, the last thing that is Xing is Travis Kelce.
I really thought you were going to say Joe Hendry. Travis Kelce.
I did that yesterday. I can't do it every day. He is Xing though.
I believe you can. Yeah. Travis Kelce is Xing because somebody just put out a top 10 list where Travis Kelce is no longer ranked as the number one tight end in football, or Taylor Swift.
Well, it's about his hair. He's growing his hair out, and Patrick Mahomes said he's been trying to get him to do it for years. Taylor asked him once, and now he's growing his hair out. So, I mean, that's how that works. So, I mean, whether it's Taylor or any wife or potential wife or future wife. Yeah.
I mean, nobody specific.
It's some do the opposite.
Yeah, nobody specific.
Some say stop growing your hair out.
Yeah. Bad news for her is September 21st. She's locked in and she can't do nothing.
Mullet time, baby.
Mullet time. But the mullet is like an acceptable haircut now. I see them all over the place amongst the youths. We should go for it. Hey, that's it for us. Come back tomorrow. Rashad Beard will be here at 8:40 to talk about today's joint practice and Carolina's preseason game on Saturday against the Jets. And, it's Friday. We're going to get weird. He's Lonzo. I'm Rob. Thanks for being here. Don't drink and drive. I'll punch you in the face. See you back here tomorrow to do it all over again, but better on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. Later.
I really don't give a
And that's it, kids. Join me on the BetQL Network from 3 to 7 p.m. for You Better You Bet.
By the way, I can do the fake Shawn Michaels mullet anytime I want. All you got to do is take the top hair and just put the small ponytail. You've got a mullet. I don't know why he ever did that. It's weird, but, I can do it.
I believe in Joe Hendry. Oh, man. America, Scotland, in Canada, in Mexico. I believe in Joe Hendry. All right, that's it for us. I got to go get ready for 4 more hours. I appreciate you being here. Hope you enjoyed the show. You're all spectacular people. Tell your friends about us. Help us grow the show. And have a nice day.